final point I'll make is this. I used to always make the argument, hey man, the more progressives, the merrier, right? Because like, believe in democracy, of course, as a matter of principle. So the more good options, the better. But as I've gotten older, the math side of my brain has been more aggressive, where it's like, well, hold on, but that doesn't make sense. If you want to win, you need to be unified behind a candidate. And so Marianne Williamson got into the race first. She's got politics that are very similar to mine. I have 90%, maybe 95% agreement with her. So ideally, I wish there's one progressive up against Biden, and then progressives can unify behind that progressive to give us the best chance of winning, right? But if it wasn't Marianne Williamson running against Biden, well, then it would have been best case scenario, not only for Cornel West, but for the movement. If he had gotten in first, and then it was him against Biden in a Democratic primary. Why do I say that? Because that's where he'd be able to make the most noise. That's where he'd be able to get taken the most seriously. That's where his numbers would be the highest. That's where the message would spread furthest and widest. That's where all the party infrastructure is. That's the way Americans are accustomed to voting in a two-party system when we don't have ranked choice voting and we have first past the post voting. They say all the time, oh yeah, maybe we'll vote for an independent this time. It's always either the Democrat or the Republican, right? So for him to make the most noise and be the most relevant and get the furthest and change things the most, I think he would have had to run as a Democrat. I think he would have had to be the first one in, right? It's not the case. It's not the direction he went. So now we have a great option, Marianne Williamson, in the primary. That's great. And then, like I said, if you get to the general election and you're in a swing state and you want to do a protest vote, well, at least now you have what will likely be a Green Party candidate who's a solid candidate and is for many of the right things. Like I said, I probably have 90 to 95% agreement with him as well, with his politics. So anyway, there's your breakdown of it. It's a positive thing that he adjusted course because this is certainly more serious. I use that term loosely because of my general issues with third-party stuff, but it's certainly more serious than what it was before. All right, guys.
Welcome to another episode of the Post-Duopoly show. We are RBN hosting. We have Dissidence and Heartlands Media. What's up, Kit?
Kit,
you got on mute, man.
There we go. There you go. Oh, I think he's having sound problems. Yeah, because he's off mute.
Hold on. There we go.
There we go. Yeah. What's up, kid?
Hey guys, sorry about that. So anyways, apologies for that. Once again, here we are seeing the smears towards Dr. Cornel West and third parties, and I've heard this since 2016, and it's rather getting old. Once again, Kyle is going to bat for Marianne Williamson, whom, again, shout out to all of us, and even our viewing audience. Each of us have brought the fact that there's a huge conflict of interest, especially when you have one presidential candidate who's still in the Democratic primary who officiated at your wedding. I know, Keaton, you did it eloquently as you tore apart that whole entire controversy. So once again, welcome to the 5-man hit squad, Hardlands Media, Dissidence, Revolutionary Blackout Network. You got it. You want it. Here it is.
Yeah, we were thinking about covering that last night, but we thought the pasta interview was more relevant. But man, that's just gold. I mean, that's just comedy gold, that segment. I love how he starts out, as I've gotten older, Matt. What do you mean, as you've gotten older? You're fucking 34. As you've gotten older. Fucking Ralph Waldo Emerson over there. As I've gotten older. In my old age now, I've come to appreciate
the math part of my brain saw that I was stuck at under a million subscribers, and I said, I've probably sucked in everyone who wants to watch a bowl of warm oatmeal opine on politics. So where can I get other people? Marianne, she has a fan base. I can draw on her fan base. She's friends with Oprah. The math part of my brain is telling me that'll get me over 1 million subs, and hey, it worked.
It's just in such defiance of reality. Oh, he'd make the biggest impact running as a Democrat. When's the last time Marianne Williamson was in a mainstream news story? Like, at this point, Fox News brings her on every week and a half as a gag. right?
Yeah.
And she'll go on Hannity as a gag. That's it. I mean, when's the last time anybody cared about Marianne? It's over. That's it. It's done. It's done. She had what, 3 weeks in the sun.
But
That's
hang
it.
on, but she got in first though. She got in first.
Right. Yeah, that's true. She got in first.
And what? First of all, she showed who she truly was during her interview with RBN, and then with Marcel Dixon, in which she systematically went back and forth with a potential supporter, just trying to bring up the ideas of reparations. and she starts verbally yelling at him. And I talked about it. I even interviewed.
You don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
She
starts going back and forth and charges at him.
That was she was recreating Faye Dunaway's performance of Mommy Dearest there.
Oh, very true. Again,
it's
clown stuff through and through.
It's unbelievable how Kyle has no self-awareness, because the argument that we make against Kyle is that he obviously sold out. He's not serious for the workers because he married Crystal Ball. He became a millionaire. So he completely disconnected from the working class. So what he says is, I gotten older. So as I got more older, now we advocate against third parties. But what they don't tell you, what Kyle Kulinski is not telling you, and I know he's doing it on purpose because he founded Justice Democrats. Justice Democrats, in their plan originally, was to promote third parties. Kyle Kulinski used to talk about third parties. Then he became a millionaire. Then he became part of the Breaking Points Club. He became comfortable. So he said, as I got older. And that was the myth I heard growing up when people say, usually people get more conservative as they get older. No, what happened was the baby boomers got comfortable. In old America, usually people get older, they get a mortgage, they get some sort of success, and they get generally more conservative. But in our generation, that has been completely flipped. In previous revolutionary generations, like the generation that started the labor movement, those people didn't become more conservative. They became more radical. The civil rights activists became more radical because things were getting dire. And that's the same thing that happened to our generation and Gen Z, where we not having upward mobility. So we're not doing this thing where we like Kyle, like, man, I used to be radical, but I got older. No, as I get older, I'm more like, burn this shit down. As I get older, the more I'm like, fuck the Democratic Party. As I get older, the more I said we need to burn down capitalism in the military-industrial complex, the more radical I become. I start saying shit like, I don't advocate against violence. Like, these things I would never say when I was a teenager, but now as I got older, as I see the harsh reality of our system, I got more radical like many people my age.
Gentlemen, all I can say in regards towards this entire system that we are seeing, this empire of ours, this republic that we hold dear, in theory, bear with me, is going through the death throes of its final years. And we are seeing a population being ignored. We're seeing systems and infrastructure fall apart. So while Kyle is comfortable living his best life, close to the establishment, he can easily say stuff like this. But to our entire viewing audience right here, right now, tell us. I mean, again, we read your comments. We see what's happening. When I start this show in the morning, Hard Lens Media in the morning, all I'm seeing in the chat is, oh, it's pretty tough out there. I don't know how I'm going to make it past tomorrow.
Right.
I'm trying to take care of my family. I'm trying to take care of my relatives. My family is struggling. It is the same story across the board, across the political spectrum. That's going from conservative voters to liberals, communists, socialists. It doesn't matter where you're at. Every single goddamn American knows when you see smug bastards like this, they don't know what it's like, whether or not they will have a roof over their head or food in their stomach or medicine to take care of themselves or their loved ones. So Kyle can easily dismiss a third party. I embrace a third party, and I embrace the need for there to be another option for voters to vote on. And I'll be goddamn if some vote blue, no matter who person starts wagging their finger in front of us, starts telling us, oh, you got to vote for Biden because Trump. Why? Nothing changed.
Right.
All right, let's get to this next.
Sorry, go ahead.
Let's get to this next video here, or this next clip, because I do want to get. I know, Keaton, you said start at the 7 mark, and that's what we did in the intro, but I got to get you guys' reaction to this maybe 30-second clip right here. Let's listen.
So, look,
All right, let's hear it.
I'll say again what I said the other day. Now we have a situation where you can vote for Marianne Williamson in a Democratic primary. And then if you live in a swing state and it's the general election and you can't bring yourself to vote for Joe Biden if he's the nominee against the other Republicans, right?
Why?
Well,
Why?
then at least you have a place now where you can do your protest.
Why the
vote
caveat?
in a swing?
Well, this is exactly it. So I actually misquoted him on last night's show. I said he's voting for Biden this time. Kyle lives in New York, so Kyle's saying I'll vote for Cornel in New York, but he's putting the caveat in there that if you live in a swing state, you should vote for Biden. And he's actually said, if I lived in a swing state this year, I would vote for Biden, pledging his support for Biden a year and a half out, which is more than he did last time. And so my point from last night's show, even though I did technically misspeak there, still stands, which is how on earth could you be more committed to Biden this time than last time? Like, I understand if you're a Democrat, if you're just a blue MAGA Democrat, you're going to vote for Biden both times. Okay, fine. But if you were on the fence in 2020, how the fuck can you be more convinced that Biden's your guy in 2024 than last time? Were you holding out for World War III? Is that your thing? Like, are you glad
that shows how
that we're in World War? Is World War III a positive? Did he close the deal with World War III? It's amazing. And I know I don't mean to disrupt the flow of things, but that point he made in that last clip too about the best way to put ideas out there, the best way to get the message out there is to run as a Democrat. That just completely ignores the reality of the last 7 years. Bernie got 47% of the vote in 2016 in the Democratic primary. And as Nick, you have said in the past, and you're right, his ideas are worse off now than they were then. Why? Because he entrusted his movement to the DNC, and they killed him. Right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's just completely ignorant of reality. It's unbelievable. It's astounding. It took a lot of discipline not for us to cover it last night.
Yeah, I'm glad that you. I'm glad that you mentioned that, Keaton, because that was the point I was going to bring up. Because in his first clip, the mental gymnastics that he was doing to justify running as a Democrat was incredible. It's completely illogical, just like the story we're going to cover with Peter Hotez, where the COVIDians can't defend their position. In the same way, these people have no intellectual thought process. Like, for example, what he said if you run as a Democrat, you can actually get things done. Like, you actually get things done.
No, you can't.
What do you mean by that? Like, in the first clip, that's what he said. He said, you actually get something done, run as a Democrat. What is something? What is that thing you're talking about? Because as you point out, Keaton, ever since the Bernie movement, ever since we had multiple Democrats take over the Democratic Party, the Democratic Party has shifted to the right. They're funding ICE to record levels. They're funding the police more. They are funding the military-industrial complex to record levels, more fracking, more public drilling. Ever since this strategy of the Justice Democrats, the Democratic Party has shifted to the right. Exactly. So when you say they're valuing and as a Democrat because you can get something, that is ahistorical. Right. And you know that because you've been following politics for 15 years? So this is him being an unbelievably ranked partisan, class loyal clown. That's what this is.
Not only
and he pretends as if Marianne Williamson is better. Like, oh yeah, oh Cornel, he's okay. He's okay. He's all right. He's all right. But Marianne, we got Marianne. You can understand. It's like it almost like he doesn't understand. Just comparing the two and pretending that Marianne is better. It already takes the legs out of your argument because nobody on this earth except for the two that got married by her believes that. No one believes that Marianne Williamson is close to Cornel West. And he always says this in his video. He says, yeah, I agree with Cornel like 95%. You can't agree with Cornel 95% and agree with Marianne Williamson 99% because that means it's the only 5% is Israel. Is that what you're saying? Because there's a lot more.
Show how much he cares about those. He cares about those issues. But go ahead, Russell.
Well, that was like Crystal in the car. She was like Mrs. Howell on Gilligan's Island. He's always been a hero of mine. That's who these people are. When he's talking about, this is how you get a platform. He's joined that social class. I mean, this is why they're all gravitating around Marianne. Look, for a bunch of politics nerds from the East Coast, I'm sure this is very glamorous for them to hang out with someone like Marianne Williamson, and who knows the people that she knows in Hollywood that she hooks them up with. This is getting to join that class that we've always had in LA and in New York of very rich people who like to pretend that they're more virtuous than other members of their class because they talk shit about policies that they don't really give a fuck about, and they're
Yeah.
never prepared to jeopardize
Yeah.
their social position by actually advocating for in a meaningful way. That's
It's
what
almost
this
like
all
charity.
is.
It's almost like charity, where you want the credit and you want to feel like you're doing something to make yourself, but it's never really enough to get people out of a certain position. And that's the same thing that you are
Right.
sort of speaking to, where it's like the reason, and I don't want to name some of the people because some of the people that will fall into this category, quite frankly, are friendly with this network. But the same that like they want, it's like they feel this almighty because they are in this class and they see other people in this class have such disdain. They feel like, well, I don't have disdain. At least I'm able to talk to these people and view these policies that would help them. So that makes me some sort of like better.
That's it.
But if you're not able, if you're unwilling to fight for it, this is my argument. How does that make you better? Because what's the material difference in a person who says, I'm against Medicare for all, like RFK Jr., what's the material difference in that? And Marianne Williamson, who says, I want it, but I'm going to rub two sticks together to get it. What's the difference? The strategy means you're not really trying to get it. And that's the point in running with the Democratic Party. I think Kit was going to chime in. Go ahead, Kit.
Well, the thing is, remember, when Dr. Cornel West was with the People's Party, what was all of his critics saying? Oh, he'd be more serious if he ran with the Greens. Now he's with the Green Party, and now automatically he's still being dismissed. You know what that tells me? That adds more fuel to my fire in indicating that people like Kyle Kulinski and all these critics against third parties were never serious from 2016 and onwards. They never believed in the goddamn words that they said, because if they really wanted to cause a difference, they would have done something. They would have fought. Now, look, Justice Democrats, who was it created by? Cenk Uygur and Kyle Kulinski. Now Justice Democrats is on point, just like our revolution and brand new Congress, on point with the Democratic establishment to support Joe Biden. You have all these unions, all these groups that were with Bernie Sanders now surrounding themselves with somebody who made sure nothing would fundamentally change even after Trump was removed from office. And we have the architect, the main guy, Joe Biden, who's against the workers' movement. Anything to uplift working class citizens, no matter what the color of your skin is. Joe Biden has been with the establishment and his select ruling elite. So when I hear somebody like Kyle Kulinski dismiss a third party vote, that should give all of you the extra confidence and conviction in realizing that anyone that's going to tell you to support Biden, they're just telling you, hey, support this guy so that my life is better. That's who these vote blue, no matter who you are. Go ahead. Go ahead.
You want to know funny, and I'll pass it to you, Russell. The funny thing is that these people was caught, they was busted, and this is why I was so excited when Cornel West turned Green Party. Do you remember what Kyle Kulinski and these people said? But they were trying to be sneaky and trying to pretend they were.
We would.
They were saying that, man, it would make more sense if Dr. Cornel West run as a Democrat and as a Green. Now they included both, because they know how bad it will look if they said he should run only as a Democrat. And they only said that because they didn't think that Dr. Cornel West would switch his parties like that. So when they didn't think he was going to switch, it was easy to say, yo, man, he should run as a Green Party and as a Democrat. Then when he ran as a Green, that forced Kyle Kulinski hand and many others to finally admit that their objection was not that he ran as a People Party, which, remember, CJ, what did I say? CJ, I told you guys on this show, all the bullshit things they were saying about the People's Party, they did not give a fuck about any of that. RB and we had a legitimate critique of the People Party, and we are consistent. But the people that came out like, I got concerns of the People Party, you don't even know what the fuck is going on. You haven't been involved in this discourse. You don't know what the hell is going on. You just saying that to shield from the fact that you're against third parties. So then when you switched, they were forced to admit it, just like Nathan J. Robinson. And I'm gonna show this tweet. I'm sorry, Russ, I'll pass it to you after this, because Glenn nails this on the head here. And this is why I grimace when they like, yeah, if I'm in a blue state, if I'm in a safe space, then I'll vote third party. What's the fucking point of that? Now look at this. This is what Glenn Greenwald said. I can't say it better than him. And I passed to you, Russ, after this. He said, because this is what Nathan J. Robinson said. This is the same class of leftists of Kyle Kulinski. He's a union buster, the same way that Kyle Kulinski is rich and he became class loyal. Look at what happens when you become a rich business owner who become a union buster as well. This is Nathan J. Robinson. He said, I'll vote for West because I live in a red state. If I live in a swing state, I'll vote for Biden. This is The argument comes from social democrats to Jacobin left and these weak ass class loyal. Honestly, the progressives at Palatine, the NATO left, did the same fucking thing, right? So this is what Glenn said. He said, I think it's funny when online left liberals admit that the only type of dissent or disobedience to the Democratic Party that is permitted is when it's completely inconsequential.
Right.
So when there's nothing, when Cal Kulinski is saying, when it means fucking nothing in terms of challenging his power, then he steps up, right? The same way Crystal Ball said, she liked the idea of a third party, but she's not going to be on board unless that motherfucker about to win. They have no word. And I finished a tweet. He said it's only permitted when it's completely inconsequential and theatrical, a pointless pose, an empty gesture. When obedience is needed, you will give it. Cal Kulinski and Crystal Ball.
I just want to add in something in here too as well. For all these channels that rose into prominence from 2016 and onwards, who rode on the Bernie Sanders train, what they were doing is trying to make everyone feel good by saying things that people wanted to hear. They never followed through with their consistency, and they never were able to really believe or follow through with the messaging in regards to trying to change the system, because all what they were doing was putting out content that people would click on and not give any solutions. And when finally the Democratic Party, AOC and Bernie Sanders, were revealing their true colors, as quoting Jimmy Dore, people said nothing because, these are our leaders. AOC and Bernie Sanders are flawed. They sold you out. They left you behind. They are comfortable. Kyle Kulinski is comfortable. The last thing they want any of you to do, or any of their diehard supporters or subscribers to do, is to think for yourself and actually fight for yourself. And what I will say is this: vote how you feel like. Don't vote Democrat or Republican. I mean, obviously you don't have a seat at the table, but you don't owe these parties, these politicians, or these pundits your support or your loyalty. Break away. Be free of it. We see what's happened under a Biden administration. Nothing has changed. And since nothing has changed, you owe them nothing.
Things got worse.
All right.
I'll say it, like when you say, and this not, I know you know this, but when I'm just saying this in general, when people say nothing changed, that's actually letting Biden off the hook. Things got worse. He doubled down on all the Trump policy. ICE is stronger, the police are stronger, and the doomsday clock is closer than it's ever been to midnight. Russell, I know you want to chime in, brother.
All right. So I was a little insulted. CJ said I'm not long-winded, so I'm going to break that streak here.
As you can see, we're all long-winded.
So I think you got a couple things going on here. One, if you look at, I think with like Cenk, he was always the Madonna of independent media, just bending his image to whatever the trend was. When he thought he'd make money doing Howard Stern, he was sending Anna out to hoe for shoes at a mall. You know, when he thought he could make money off the Bernie thing, he jumped on the Bernie thing. You look at people like Kyle, you look at some of these independents who I think started out sincere. It reminds me of, if you remember, there was the black communist in the movie Network, where at first she agrees to do the show. That movie predicts reality television. She basically agrees to do this show where they're going to follow them around doing actions against banks. And she starts out using it as a platform. And by the end, she's screaming about her rating share. God damn it, my ratings are dropping, right? That's who she turns into. I think that's what happened with a lot of these people. Like, I don't think Kyle specifically, I don't think he started out thinking like that. I think he got the money. Exactly. And he started thinking like, oh man, I got to get 1 million ratings. Class
is everything.
That's it.
Class is everything, guys.
And that's the other side of it. You know, I often apply von Clausewitz's observation, there are no contradictions. When you think you found a contradiction, check your premises. So you look at a lot of these people, you look at what Bernie Sanders did, and very often you only have to know one thing to understand everything. Bernie Sanders saying he doesn't want to end up like Nader, that is everything you need to know to understand every decision he has made in politics. When you look at these people, you apply that principle. There are no contradictions. Check your premises. Why are they doing this? because in the end, they will not do anything that is going to threaten their class position. If you actually do things that are going to piss off the social set that they run in, there are consequences. That's why not one of them has gotten behind RFK. And we're not behind RFK either.
No.
But if you're into working in the Democratic Party, not one of them picked RFK. Why? Because RFK is verboten in their class, whereas Marianne is fine. She's a guru. She wrote some self-help books. They were very helpful to me when I was going through a hard time. That's okay. You back Marianne. I love Marianne. RFK. He's an anti-vaxxer.
So we're gonna get, you can chime in next. Sure. After Keaton chime in, I'm gonna show you guys. We can get to the Marianne Williamson story. I think it
kind of feels right
after
here.
watching Kyle Kulinski slobber over, because we're gonna analyze what it means to have a 5% disagreement. We're gonna see what that means. Go ahead and chime in.
No, just the political illiteracy of pledging your vote to Joe Biden 16 months out. These are a lot of the same people who get upset, along with one other that is fresh on our minds, I'm sure, when you say that they're not on the quote-unquote real left. How you cannot see this conflict in Russia and Ukraine, how you cannot see the Ukraine war as a proxy, as a battle between capitalism and, for the first time in decades, an ideological competitor to capitalism on the world stage. That's what this is. Now, it's not capitalism versus communism as it was in the Cold War, but it's capitalism versus something else. That's what this G7 versus BRICS is all about. That's what NATO versus the global South is all about. So Nathan Robinson, who I'm sure considers himself a doctrinaire leftist, and I'm sure he would put his left bona fides up against anyone else, how you can be pledging your support to the NATO candidate 16 months out, I'm sorry, it is, I'm sorry to steal your phrase from you on your own show, Nick, but deeply unserious. It is insane. It is ridiculous. It is ludicrous. I made the stupid mistake of trying to explain this to Jordan Chariton when we had him on.
That was your first
right
mistake.
Over his head, right? I tried to explain that. I said, don't you understand, if you're on the left and you see a conflict, an ideological conflict between capitalism and its competitor, don't you understand how that should be important to you? Yeah. And apparently to the Marianne stands, it's not important at all, since, as we're going to see in a few minutes, I think, on that Kim Iverson interview, just an astoundingly idiotic answer on that question. And yet here you got Nathan Robinson. Oh, yeah, no, I'll vote for Biden. If you're in a swing state, vote Biden. Robinson, Kyle, right? To Jordan's credit, he is not telling people anything on that score yet.
Humanist Report.
Come on.
Humanist Report said the same thing too on the leftist mafia. He said, make sure if it's a safe state, I'm in Oregon, I'm in a safe state. So
right, exactly, right. It's all the same shit. Yeah.
Fucking cry.
Okay, those guys are 5 minutes away from getting a contract to be on MSNBC.
Yes. Well, as a third-party activist, and K.I. Pastique, I know you want to go. As a third-party activist, I want to be fucking blamed for why Joe Biden
of course.
loses.
Of course.
He's like, I don't want to be blamed. What kind of fucking establishment loving pussies are this? But go ahead, kid.
Well, again, I want to just piggyback real quick on it. I welcome the hatred of saying, oh, it's Hardlens Media's fault for telling people to vote third party. Oh, it's Dissidence. It's RBN's fault. I'm glad that people will vilify us. And another thing too, with this quote unquote leftist mafia. Hey, leftist mafia. I know you guys talked about that Illuminati person, but seriously, if you all are going to get onto that whole idea of getting MSNBC contracts, I mean, maybe work on fixing your imagery just a little bit better, because you guys look a little bit scummy. Just throw it out there with those quote unquote leftist. And but what a dumb name, leftist mafia.
Leftist mafia.
What?
We're gonna put a mob together. We're gonna put a mafia together. Make sure Joe Biden get elected.
Oh yeah, hey, way to hit those home run homers.
The right wingers are crossing the street when they see you guys coming.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Maybe they are mafia because they want to go to war with Russia. Maybe they're mafia because leftists that want to go to war. That's a part of war.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But go ahead, Nick. You can bring in the next one.
The last thing on the Marianne Williamson thing, and this is what absolutely insane thing to show how touched Cal Kulinski and Marianne Williamson fans and RFK fans are when they say stuff like, man, this is how your candidacy would be treated seriously. This is how you can actually create change. And in order to have a position, you have to ignore data. Ignore data. Where 40% of Americans in YouGov poll, 44% to be specific, said they're ready to vote for a third party. So they say things that, and then they don't back it up. Like, I'll show you guys receipts. I'll give you guys stats because I assume you guys are not just going to believe anything I say. But they're so arrogant, smug, that I'm white, rich, and wealthy, so you got to listen to me because I have authority. So they don't have to back up anything they say. Everything they say is anti-factual, and that's why it really eats me that these people got fucking hundreds of times more people watching them than us. People like, RBN, why you cover these people? Because they got way more fucking people watching their dumb ass. Way more. Every time we do these videos, people are like, man, I like Cal. You guys are fucking rough. I never heard that before. That's the point. We trying to wake up these morons who think they have anything to say. Well, go ahead.
Yeah, you notice that, you know, none of us are supporting efforts within the Democratic Party. Mm-hmm. But there is only one person that I have seen in any interview with anyone who has behaved the way that Marianne behaved on your show, on any show. And that's fucking Marianne on your show. I have never seen RFK behave that way. I don't think you're ever going to see Cornel West behave that way. And yet none of her foot rubbers have once asked her about 30 years of reporting on her being dangerously unstable behind the scenes. Not even to ask it. Not one person ever asked that question. Yeah. Like, that's an out of line.
Like, a set the record straight. It could have been positive. Like, Marianne, this is ridiculous. We want to set the record straight. It could have been like that. It doesn't have to be like adversarial. Go ahead, Rob.
It's not like just one hit piece. 30 years of reporting on this. Plus, you have the way she behaved on your show. You have the way she behaved in that town hall in South Carolina where she has, you know, like 5 people and 2 of them are the wait staff. And she fucking attacks one of those people. And so doesn't that lend some credibility to these stories that she knows she's running for president and she can't, no matter what you think, no matter how you feel in that moment, that she couldn't control her emotions on camera? Doesn't that suggest that behind the scenes she's worse? If she's acting like that when she knows she's on camera?
Actually, even behind the scenes, when I interviewed Marcel Dixon, he went to detail in my interview that I had with him that he went to speak to Marianne Williamson one-on-one, and this is from his own account, and it's on Hard Lens Media on our YouTube channel. Her staff was apologetic, and when he went to talk to her again, she was all, "Why are you here?" I mean, again, I'm doing a disservice. Again, I'm doing a disservice because, again, Marcel Dixon goes into detail about really how hostile she was. But I mean, if there's a treasure trove of statements about Marianne Williamson being unstable or hostile to people or things not going her way, well, then, Jesus Christ, why are you running for the nomination? If anything, it tells me that she's building up a quasi Bernie Sanders movement to try and get people to support to Biden, or to buy books, or for
RFK and Marianne Williamson selling books, and you guys out of your goddamn mind if you think that's not the case. They plug their books all the goddamn time. That is what this is about. That's why they're going to endorse Joe Biden at the end. That's why they signed that contract. That's why they run the Democrat Party, because they don't want to upset the bourgeoisie they want to sell the books to. So if you guys think Marianne Williamson is serious in any single way, she melted down whenever pushed and questioned by the working class, especially the black working class. So on my show, she melted down and called me a mansplainer because I pushed back on her 2-state solution. Meanwhile, Dr. Cornel West volunteered to come on our show every 2 weeks, despite the fact that I grilled him on Biden.
Right.
Well,
you didn't softball that interview.
Yeah, like I asked them straight up, like, you voting for Biden, a lot of people see that as a criticism. Like, and Dr. Cornel West took the hard questions, like, all right, we gotta make methods of accountability, so we're gonna come back on the show in 2 weeks. He said the same thing to Black Power Media, so it's not like just gassing us up. He want to be held accountable. Meanwhile, Marianne Williamson asked a hard question regarding Zionism, and she called me a mansplainer because I told her, how does it make sense to support equal but unequal? Like they separate but equal. They like, let's do that, but with a genocidal state on top. That's an acceptable position that constitutes only a 5% disagreement. But any last thoughts before we get back to the video, guys?
Well, actually, Nick, how dare you? You were a man trying to explain policies and decisions, and you were talking to an unhinged liberal. So hashtag you are now canceled. That's it.
Well, I'm about to mansplain the fuck out of Marianne right now. Because Marianne Williamson, as CJ said, I love your tweet, CJ. We may pull it up here soon.
Terrible.
We're gonna upset Richard Wolff.
Dumbest people on foreign policy you will listen to that have the audacity to think they could be a goddamn leader. Like, if you dumb on foreign policy, okay, I was too, motherfucker. At one point, I had no idea what the hell was going on in Israel-Palestine. At one point, but I didn't. During that point, I was like, I want to be the leader. I want to run for president. I think I know a lot. There's some people that like they always ask me to do shit. Like I saw Rome put a tweet, and a lot of people was tagging me about me being Dr. Cornel West press secretary. I'm like, man, no, I don't think I'm that qualified. Like, that's a natural, humble humility that the working class people have. Meanwhile, Marianne Williamson don't know a goddamn thing about a goddamn thing, but she want to be leader. She want to be leader. So now we're going to dive into...
Well, that's what's so crazy about all these people holding up Marianne Williamson as if this is going all the way back to Crystal with her. If you're serious about power, how are you serious about power when this is what you're putting forward as a serious political project? Like, how dare you call anyone else's project unserious when this is what you're trying to foist on people? She couldn't even win for Congress in California, and she's running for president. What happened to all you people talking about how unqualified Donald Trump was? She's qualified? In what way is she qualified?
All the people who pushed Marianne Williamson lost all their credibility. I don't take none of them seriously anymore. And there's so many people that expose themselves. They came out first, and now they gotta do this weird thing. Like, yeah, I think that's Dr. Cornel West kind of better. Like, you gotta see many people do this. Came out front. Yeah. And we called out Marianne Williamson a long time ago for being trash. Bree had the nerve on this Backfiring podcast to question us when I said that she was horrible on foreign policy. She was like, "What? I know Marianne."
You know her. You were at the wedding.
Bree was like, "What are you talking about, Nick? Marianne is good."
Have you ever interviewed Richard Wolff?
Oh no, that would be a fire.
No, did you see this shit this week where Katie Halper dropped that Richard Wolff, and I watched the clip.
Oh yeah, I heard about it. I didn't watch it.
He's praising Marianne Williamson. I that knocked me for a loop. I don't get it.
Impossible.
I swear to you. Go to Katie Halper's Twitter feed. She dropped the clip very proudly because she's on that train. She doesn't want to fully admit it. Yes, Richard Wolff. It was like, yes, she deserves to be taken more seriously than she is being
went
taken.
belly up in 2020.
That's not a thing. That's not a thing to me.
That's why I asked if you guys ever talked to him, because it knocked me for a loop.
Richard Wolff.
He was on Sabby's show, but he hasn't been on here. He was on Sabby's show though. Yeah.
Now, and there's levels to this shit. We talk about this all the time. If you're a long time viewer, you know what I'm talking about. And I'm not saying this to degrade people, because we don't think leftism is a sign of morality, but Richard Wolff is an old school anti-communist social democrat. And they tend to be they tend to be weak on foreign policy. So when I heard that, I wasn't surprised. He's great on economics, but they have this giant fucking weakness. So when they see Zionism progress about Palestine, you see what generation he is. That's just been a thing in his generation. In the United States, they don't give a fuck about foreign policy. Not something that weighs on their conscience at all. Because when I show you this clip from Marianne Williamson, you can't even say she's 20%. We agree, because this is such a large part of the pie. Funding Nazis? You for funding Nazis. You for increasing the military-industrial complex profits. Nigga, you cannot be farther away from me on politics if this is your foreign policy position. But Richard Wolff and all social democrats is like, come on, man. Empire, what can you do? To me, when you're part of the disenfranchised community like we are, when you're brutalized by the police, when you're part of the people who are brutalized by the violence of our system, instead of just suffering over economic problems because that was a lot of social democrats, a lot of even suburban people. They have medical debt, they show with mortgages. But when you actually the victim of police violence, like we talking about policing, when you see what happened in Israel, Palestine, and that black people, we see the connection between that. That's a giant fucking thing because we are the victim of authoritarianism. They are not. Richard Wolff is not going to be a victim of U.S. empire. He's not going to be a victim of the police state. So that's why he had good analysis over economics. And I'm not even trying to diss him. This is just the reality of it. No, I moved past Chomsky a long time ago because I learned that Chomsky has strong anti-communist empire roots. Like he had good taste, but these things that there's levels to this shit. And Michael Prenti, when you compare Michael Prenti to Noam Chomsky, it's light and day when you see the difference. When you see Noam Chomsky going along with the establishment talking points about Stalin and Soviet Union. Meanwhile, Michael Prenti does lectures debunking all this bullshit, debunking Cuban nonsense. Anyway, I'll spare you guys. But I'm gonna get to this video clip. Because we got on Richard Wolff, but
well, Chomsky's new book is coming out. It's called My Dinner with Pedophiles.
And to that point, I've never been a person that like Richard Wolff is not a god. Like Noam Chomsky is not a god. Even Chris Hedges, and I like Chris Hedges. These people. So when you go, Chris Hedges said this, I'll go. Another human said something. What am I supposed to? What is my reaction supposed to be that another human said something? It's the person sort of showing, or they're showing that they believe in a hierarchy of thought. They believe in a hierarchy. These people have degrees. So come on, guys, you get what I'm saying? So I don't get that. You're boasting about Richard Wolff. Do you think Richard Wolff is going to vote for you? Like you're boasting about Bernie Sanders, and then the next day he supports Joe Biden. It's just this is what she's left with because because RFK took the sail out of the wind out of her sail, and then Cornel West capsized her boat. So she's completely just flailing in the water, just trying to grasp something. And if you haven't seen it, I know I've said this back, behind the scenes. Some of our friends in the PMC class, they have completely changed their framing and their content. Yep. And the framing in their content is trying to get people away from RFK and push them to Marianne Williamson. And let's be clear. We are the Post-Duopoly left. We're part of the Post-Duopoly show, but we're the Post-Duopoly left. And stop trying to sell being good on Medicare for all gives you a pass on being terrible on Palestine and Ukraine. That is not a pass on that professional managerial class. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, we're gonna get RFK very soon because he's part of the segment, guys. You guys see what RFK said about Iran?
Oh boy.
Jesus fucking Christ. People think this guy is anti-empire. We get to that soon because we're gonna cover both. Why?
I didn't see that.
You can
I'll have to watch that fresh. Yeah, I didn't know.
Yeah, all right. Here we go.
Segment as why people who run as the Democrats are deeply unserious. Deeply unserious. If you're a Zionist bootlicker like RFK and Marianne, if you're fear-mongering over Iran like RFK is doing, you are not serious. You are not anti-empire. You are not anti-establishment, which I told you guys before because he's a Kennedy running as a Democrat. I don't know what the fuck you guys expect. But anyway, so let's get into the video. We had this load for a while, so let's actually dive into this because I'm going to have a lot to say. So I'm actually let it play for a bit. Marianne, I'm really about to mansplain to you right now because this video, I saw this video and I could not roll my eyes harder. Like, I've seen analysis from Joy-Ann Reid, from Mika Brzezinski on Ukraine. You guys know I study these people. We do propaganda breakdowns. Marianne Williamson gets her information from MSNBC. That is definitely what's going on here. She is not a leftist in any way, shape, or form. And Marianne Williamson does great when she interviews people who are her friends who just
right.
Oh my God. I'm so happy Marianne's on. Oh my God, she's doing her crystal shit. She's speaking in poetry. You know, she was on Oprah. Oh my God, Marianne, thank you.
What is Oprah really like?
Thank you for coming on my show, Marianne. Oh my God, she's so pretty. Oh my God, this is amazing, right? But meanwhile, every fucking interview that ever pushed back on her, ever, including RBN, including Kim Iverson, including Glenn Greenwald, She completely
Been a
melts
disaster, yeah.
down and exposes herself as a moron.
disaster.
She only does well on softball interviews, which RBN, as far as I know, was the first people who ever gave Marianne Williamson a hard interview. Then she went on Glendon and she died. Now she went on Kim Iverson and she died. So let's watch out.
Well, it's an occupational hazard of hippie cult leaders. They don't deal with pushback well. Manson proved that.
Ukraine
Go
war.
ahead.
I know you've said we should.
Here we
fund
go.
Actually, Nick, can you
more or
rewind it?
give
Let me
more
get the
weapons to
first couple
Ukraine.
of seconds there.
Where are you? What is your stance
There we go.
on the Russia-Ukraine war? I know you've said we should
Oh man, see, it messed up.
fund more or give more weapons to Ukraine. Where are you at with this crisis today?
There are people who seem to think that if you know how to put the word proxy in the same sentence as the word war, that you have it all figured out. Well, I don't think it's quite that simple.
Oh,
There are many
God.
people who just use that phrase proxy war as though that's it.
Like
This
people
is a
who know what the fuck they're
complicated
talking
situation.
about.
Did you-
I bet you Marianne Williamson couldn't define a proxy war.
Right, exactly.
She couldn't
What, is,
define
what does that word
means.
mean, Marianne? Can you tell the people what that word means? Proxy war. It's sort of like when Joe Rogan called out that one person who was calling Tulsi Gabbard a toady and she couldn't define it. What does proxy war mean, Marianne, to you? What is the definition?
I mean,
Why is
arrogance
she
of it.
answering that? It wasn't even part of the
absolute
question. Go ahead.
Arrogance to act as if, oh well, you think because you use the word proxy, you know what you're
You
talking
think
about.
you know shit?
I'd like to see her take a quiz next to Aaron Mate on this issue, right? And see who scores highest. All right. I mean, I would bet my balls that Aaron Mate triples her at best on terms of knowledge of this topic. And well, you think because you use the word proxy that you know something. I mean, it's just so cheap. It's so incredible. This is an incredible video, it really is.
This is
Go ahead.
actually incredible because she was like, just you think you know stuff. you think you know fancy terms. You think you're smart.
You think you're so proud because you know what you're talking about?
You actually
You're such
do
a chip on your
research into
shoulder
stuff.
because you have
She-
knowledge of the situation that I don't.
She probably has PTSD for being on RBN. She's probably imagining speaking out to Nick like, "Oh, that guy, he's such a mansplainer. I hate RBN." That's how she's.
Dude,
probably
she's so
feeling.
lucky. She's so lucky. She race quit before I got to Ukraine. Because listen to this. Listen to this now.
No, it gets worse. It's
Let's
unbelievable.
listen to more of this.
Yeah.
It gets way worse. I'll start from the
war,
beginning.
that you have it all figured out.
I'll go back.
Think that if you know how to put the word proxy in the same sentence as the word war, that you have it all figured out. Well, I don't think it's quite that simple. There are many people who just use that phrase proxy war as though that's it. This is a complicated situation. Did the United States meddle? Yeah, we obviously did.
So you're just gonna contradict yourself just like that?
What?
So
What?
just like that, you're gonna contradict yourself, just like that. So the argument that we make, Marianne, I know it takes a while for you to catch up speed on this. Our argument is that the United States meddled and armed and propped up extremist groups, and then you're like, yeah, people think it's a proxy war. Yeah, I think the United States meddled. You are a moron. Like I can't.
Hypocrite.
I don't have anything to say. How can you contradict yourself that fast? That fast. Now, and I'm gonna continue the video. This reminds me of Jordan Chariton. When Jordan Chariton started attacking Max Blumenthal and Jimmy Dore and others as Russian plants, and then in that same interview, like, yeah, foreign policy not my thing. I don't know that much about foreign policy. You gotta give me a pass. I don't study Ukraine, Russia. Nigga, if you don't study Ukraine, Russia, what gives you the authority to say that
Nick-
Max Blumenthal, who does it for a fucking living,
Nick
is a Russian
Nick,
plant? The
I'm sorry.
audacity of these people.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
buddy, but you gotta let him finish. Let him finish. Let him finish.
Let's play some more. I'm gonna play it just so you guys get a good comprehension of what she's saying.
Yeah,
If
let's
you
let
know
it
how to
play
put
all the
the
way
word
through here.
proxy in the same sentence as the word war, that you have it all figured out. Well, I don't think it's quite that simple. There are many people who just use that phrase proxy war as though that's it. This is a complicated
hands.
situation. Did the United States meddle? Yeah, we obviously did. Should we have put those Aegis missiles in Poland? Absolutely not. But a lot of that conversation on the left in America today leaves out any sense of agency for the Ukrainians, for the Latvians, for the Estonians, for the Lithuanians. Look at what Finland is doing now. Finland was neutral for decades and has now joined NATO.
Oh
So
my God.
I do not buy the picture that Ukrainians aren't people. They're somehow cardboard cutouts, and they have simply done what we told them to do. This is not the United States removing Mossadegh and putting in the Shah of Iran. I don't believe that that's what 2014 was. I believe that if you look at the way the Ukrainians are fighting right now,
Oh
Kim,
God.
the kind of spirit that those people are showing,
Christ.
Oh Jesus.
that doesn't come from people who are just working at the behest of the U.S. State Department.
Oh Jesus
So
fucking Christ.
and I also resent people saying like they're the pro-peace candidate if they haven't figured out how we got here. No, excuse me. We all agree on how we got here.
How?
85, 90% of what you said, I would agree with. The point is, what are you going to do now? If somebody says, okay, we're going to completely withdraw any support right now, the last thing that would happen there is peace. There would be such a crushing war and a destruction of Ukraine. There has to be a diplomatic solution. Denmark, for instance, has now offered to do a summit. They've said it can't just be Ukrainian allies. It has to also be India, also be China, also be Brazil, all of which is realistic. Like I said, it's a multipolar world now. We should be supporting those diplomatic efforts, and I absolutely would.
And that's
That
how
is
you
so
know
loud.
that
Wow.
she is for total war and the ongoing funding for this war that could potentially lead to World War III. This is Marianne Williamson, the quote-unquote pro-peace candidate, who is saying that she will still gladly send in numerous checks, blank checks, to continue on this war, even as millions of people are suffering and struggling. And it's not, and when I say millions, I mean everyone across the world is impacted by this war ongoing. I mean, here in the United States, we're seeing inflation. Here in the United States, we're seeing our money.
And a lot of that is profiteering.
Yeah, of course, there's war profiteering, but we're seeing our money go to Ukraine, whereas where's the check for our communities that are being torn apart, our infrastructure that's being our infrastructure that's breaking as we see it firsthand, trains derailments, and so much more, small businesses being shut down. Marianne Williamson, you're supposed to be the fighter for us. You're the Bernie Sanders 2.0. All I'm seeing is, again, someone who's going to sheepdog people into the DNC, and I'm more than happy to vote against the Democratic Party, especially as we get closer to the election cycle. I hope I'm vilified. I hope I'm hated by Vote Blue no matter who and the liberals, and I embrace it because I know that no matter what they say, I know they're goddamn liars. Every single one of them.
We have to feel free to chime in if you guys want. There's so much there. Like I struggled so hard to let it play all the way through. He had no idea what she was talking about. So let's break this down. So for one, she said we need a negotiated segment, and then she said we stop arming Ukrainians. That would be such a devastating defeat. You guys heard that part. So what Marianne Williamson is advocating is bombing for peace. Well, what next? Is she gonna do a speech talking about how ignorance is strength, freedom is slavery? Her plan for Ukraine is let's continue to send them more bombs, and then that's how we're gonna reach a peaceful resolution. That is the same argument you hear from Anthony Blinken and the Democratic Party, and exactly what you hear from Joe Scarborough and MSNBC, which makes zero sense. What she's advocating for. How would you advocate for a lead to peace? And then one more thing I want to touch on. I'll pass to you guys. I still got a lot to say on this. But I'll pass to you guys after this last point because this is important. Because he said, what we are doing, what our sin is that we rob the Ukrainian people of their agency. Now, once again, this is someone who clearly has no idea what the fuck they were talking about because they pretend, just like all the NATO left, that Ukraine is this unbelievably united country. They have one national will. They just thinking and everyone believe it because apparently that's how countries work. Right? No, what Ukraine is a massively divided country.
Right.
Massively divided country. The BBC did an interview in 2017, which I cover. Remember, this is before the war, where they did a segment. They're like, man, it's crazy. Why are there so many pro-Russian Ukrainians? There's so many segments pre-war.
We had one pop into our show.
Sorry, Russia, go ahead.
We had a Russian Ukrainian pop into our show. And yeah, man, he had a really different point of view about this.
Zoya's love. Zoya's life. You guys know she's from the Soviet Union, formerly now Ukraine. She lived in she's from Odessa, Ukraine. She grew up there. You know the Zoya's, you know, the lady that come on here and debunk pro-Ukrainian Nazi propaganda, U.S. talking points on Ukraine. She's a Ukrainian. Zoya is. She's from the Soviet Union, and she explains how she got family. Everyone got family, like people in Ukraine and Russia cross the border all the time. So you hear people like Matt Dust, Bernie Sanders' foreign policy advisor. He would say stuff like, "Oh, the Ukraine and Russia, they got no culture. They're completely separate." That's a complete fucking lie. That's a complete goddamn lie. They have a long time family history, long time cultural ties. That's why 50% of Ukraine spoke Russia before the fascists in Ukraine banned the Russian language. So Marianne Williamson supports the fascist Ukraine that bans the language that 50% of the country speaks. So when you say that you support Ukraine and you support the agency of the Ukrainians, you do not. You support the Nazis in Ukraine. That's why I say you're a Nazi collaborator, because Zelensky ran on a peace platform. There's millions. There's Ukrainians in the East that want to be pro-Russia, that support. And that wanted them to do their special military operation. So when they say they stand for all Ukrainians, they're talking about the Nazis in Ukraine. And one last thought, I'll pass to the panel. Like many people who, when they hear our breakdown, when they hear Max breakdown, Aaron breakdown, many others, they said, "What are you guys saying, that all Ukrainians are Nazis?" That is not what we are saying. We are saying that the United States, like they did in many other countries, they picked the most radical, extreme, far-right element that is willing to sell out their country to the United States in order to accomplish their overall goals. The Azov battalion in the Ukraine is willing to sell out their people to the West in order to get their one nation, one people, which is the goal of the Azov battalion and Banderites, which is why they plagued Ukrainian Muslims, they went after Ukrainian Romani people, and they went after ethnic Russians, which Marianne Williamson do not give a fuck about. The NATO left don't give a fuck about any of that. But go
ahead, Russell. I think Russell was going to chime in. Then I'll go after Russell.
She just throws in, this is not us replacing Mossadegh with the Shah. Why isn't it? Why isn't it? Like, I was surprised she mentioned 2014 at all. But then she just makes this empty assertion that it's not the same thing, but she doesn't explain it. Now, I hope CJ is not going to come for me, because I know he's out there in LA, but he probably doesn't like the side of LA I'm going to talk about here. Okay, so watching that just hodgepodge of language, that struck me as a con artist who's used to nobody contradicting her. And if you look at all these people who kiss her ass, they all talk, oh, she's such a powerful speaker. And I don't think anybody who's not prone to just get sucked into that kind of, just cultish language finds her a powerful speaker. But the people who are prone to that language, a lot of them live in LA. When I went out to LA for the first time, I said, damn, man, the Scientology Center in New York is fucking empty, man. Everyone just makes fun of those people. You got them here like pizzerias. You got every corner here is a Scientology Center. It's not an accident. She was in New York. She was in Texas. She went out to LA because there is a class of people out there, particularly actors, who are prone to listen to this kind of gobbledygook and take it seriously. But now she's going into a political space, and this is part of why she reacted the way she did to you guys. She's a cult leader. She's not used to pushback. Yeah. That's why she can only.
So I'm up next, Kick. I'm going next.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That's why she can only handle these softball interviews. Then she goes into politics. People, nobody pushes back on a cult leader like that. And as we know from some of the reporting, anybody who did that to her over the years, they were gone.
Yeah, and I thought it was a hit. Well, not necessarily a hit piece, or maybe a smear piece, until I watched your guys' stream. And that's when I found out about the old stories. And I was like, wow, this shit has been going on for a while. And sorry, Kid, but I wanted to insert this because I want you to chime in with this part added to the conversation. Kit, and that is I haven't shared my screen. So let me share my screen, and it's just a headline. Marianne Williamson is all about climate change. The United States sends radioactive depleted uranium shells to Ukraine. So what you saying, we must fund this war in order to get peace. We're funding the war to get peace at the same time destroying the planet, which you said you were climate. these professional managerial class types try to straddle the line of I'm all about the climate emergency thing. You can't be for war and pro NATO and pro military industrial complex while at the same time saying, "Oh, but I'm also for the Ukraine war."
Are you telling me you're not willing
to? Go ahead.
CJ, are you telling me you're not willing to sacrifice the planet for the Azov Battalion to win? that's the NATO-led position, guys. That's the Marianne Williamson, AOC, Bernie Sanders position is. Remember, the climate crisis is existential. We got to solve it right now, right? In fact, there was a story I saw, and I'll pass it on anyone time next. Mm-hmm. There was a story I saw where scientists said we already reached the point where we're supposed to stop before 2030. So like we're already too late. So it's existential. So you can't push it back. So what they're saying is, with Marianne Williamson and Bernie Sanders, what they're saying is we're going to sacrifice the planet so the Azov Battalion can win. You guys realize how ridiculous that is? I'm glad you brought that up, CJ. Go ahead, Kit.
Well, but can you include that, Kit? Because I'm curious. I can't remember the segment you did. I'm not sure if it was on this or the explosion of ammunition. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts with that added part about United States sending uranium. Add that into what your reaction to the Marianne Williamson video that we saw, sir.
So that's what's me. So, okay, first of all, when it comes down to climate change, we know that the military-industrial complex is systematically, again, contributing to the overall impact to our planet. And when we see somebody like Marianne Williamson constantly say, well, wait a minute, we need to continue to fund this war, that tells me that she is already in line with the establishment. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. Because again, when we look at what is being produced by the military-industrial complex, so I shared this in the private chat, we know that their whole idea is to continue ongoing production of military hardware in industry. And of course, through that the production of military hardware in industry, we're seeing our environments being polluted. But what is also being presented to people, and that is all this broken equipment. And this just came out from the New York Times. I clicked the link that was posted by RT. This came out June 19th, today. The West is sending broken weapons to Ukraine. We've seen this before by numerous other proxy wars and other wars that the United States has been involved in. And we are sending broken weaponry into this conflict zone. All this war profiteering, all this unchecked armaments, and not to mention adding on to this, something that happened last year when CBS did a documentary series on weapons being unaccounted for that were being sent to Ukraine. What happened to that documentary that CBS posted? It was taken down.
Yep.
We are sending in, not only is the West producing broken equipment, a lot of this is not working, and all of it's also unaccounted for. You have people cannibalizing parts. What is this war all about? It's about money. And Marianne Williamson, as a presidential candidate, says to me that she will tell her donors that, let's say in a hypothetical scenario, Biden is no longer a viable candidate. She will follow orders and continue the military-industrial complex in producing all this weaponry so that people can die on both sides, not only Russians, but Ukrainians. So anyone that's watching this video right now, this live stream right now, the whole idea of this conflict, and somebody like Marianne Williamson, she is signaling to the DNC that she will follow her orders, that she will take in money from the military-industrial complex and produce more war profiteering because that is in her best interest. She doesn't care about facts. She doesn't want to be contradicted. She wants to be obeyed like any kind of psychopath would.
I just have a couple of quick points before we move on, if it's okay.
Go ahead.
On the question of Ukrainian agency, that is neither here nor there. We are funding the war, so it's really a question of our agency. This is not about denying Ukrainians agency. Don't we have agency as a state? Don't we have agency as a people? Do we want to support war? Do we want to support peace? That's a question of our agency, not theirs. Our choice in no way is a judgment upon Ukrainians' agency. That's a completely nonsense point. The other point that I think is overemphasized in all of this, and she brought up the 2014 coup, as if that was this really pivotal moment, right? And lots of these hawks try and sort of litigate that. That's not the pivotal moment. That was just an inevitable step towards this confrontation with Russia. If you want to look at pivotal moments, you look at the end of the Cold War. If we weren't determined to have this out with Russia, NATO would have been disbanded after the fall of the Soviet Union. You could even go as far back as to say, if we weren't willing, if we didn't want a confrontation with Russia, NATO would have never been formed after the Second World War. So if you really want a start date, right, if you really want to know when all of this got started, the date I would put on it is actually 1917, right? We have had it out for Russia since their revolution. And how anyone on the left does not understand this by now is mind-boggling to me. And so you have all these all these people who like to try and litigate who's the real left and who's not, and they get their panties in a bunch when people call them out for not being real leftists. If you don't understand that this is a conflict over a century in the making at this point, then you're just not a serious left thinker, in my view. And so how Marianne Williamson is now carrying the torch for your, so-called left movement, it's just absurd on its face.
Yeah, now I'm a person who, and I've explained this before, I generally believe in leaderless movements. Like after seeing the failure of the Bernie Sanders movement, seeing how they assassinated our leaders, there's pros and cons. There's pros of having the leaders. I'm not saying there's none. We talk about this during our third party summit. One of the cons of having a leader is what happened if something happened to the leader, what happened to the movement after that. Right. And we see how they assassinate civil rights leaders, how that stifled movements. We saw the Ferguson protesters was killed. What happens if the leader sells out, like Bernie? Like there's so many cons. Now the pros is that you can have a narrow vision. Like if you don't have a leader, if you have like a leaderless movement that can create more bureaucracy and create slowdown in the movement, it can create conflict. Having a leader can allow you to have a pointed vision. But generally, for the most part, after seeing and studying history, I'm a fan of leaderless movements. And if someone does a lot of great work in that movement, they will be naturally elevated as a leader anyway. Rome is considered a leader in RBN. Rome is considered a leader among our community by everybody. Not because he just leads by example. That's how leaderless movement works. It's the most accountable way of doing things, because if whoever it does put in the most work, whoever showed the most leadership skills, will naturally be promoted to and be followed as a leader. Now, that's why when I look at Marianne Williamson and RFK, I cannot roll my eyes hard enough, because people are like, oh my, I get this ever since the start of me being a citizen journalist. You gotta realize that ever since the fucking start, people you criticize me for being too hard on Democrats. Then the AOC stands and Bernie stands say, Nick, you too hard on Bernie and AOC. Now the new wave of people are the RFK and Marianne Williamson people. RFK fans are like, man, Nick, why are you so hard on him? He only doing a little bit of Zionism. Come on, Nick, take it easy on RFK. I know he's not anti-imperialist, but he said good stuff on COVID, so I'm supposed to ignore his other bullshit? So, as you said earlier, Key, and there's some things that, like, if you're going to be a leader, you got to show unbelievable wisdom. You got to be unbelievably impressive. You got to be someone I'm like, holy shit, man, I'll follow that motherfucker. You cannot get critical issues wrong, like Israel and Palestine, and like Iran, like I'm going to show you with RFK, and me be like, oh, I'm going to follow you as a leader. Nigga, my standards are extremely high after the Bernie shit. After the Bernie shit, you got to, like, Rome, I'll follow that motherfucker. Be 100% real with you guys. If Rome run for mayor, I'm like, God, all right, fuck shit, let's get this nigga a mayor. Let's get this motherfucker mayor. Like, that's the kind of guy that Rome is, because he is solid on fucking everything. Is Rome getting Israel wrong? Is Rome talking about how we got to denuclearize and escalate against Iran? Is he getting NATO wrong? Like, it's not hard if you are an intellectually curious person to get things right. These people do not get things right because they are not intellectually curious. They are used to their entire life being told they're right. RFK is a candy. You can't tell him shit. You can't tell him shit on Israel Palestine. Now, I think I'll preface this enough. Now, I saw this yesterday, and I literally couldn't believe it. I'm like, man, this guy is getting worse. So,
and his opinions about Dark Side of the Moon are beyond the pale.
You guys see, I'm like, oh man, RFK is an anti-vax. Don't give a fuck about what you think about vaccines and all that shit. I care about what you stand on Empire. and I roll my eyes hard as fuck when people pretend that Donald Trump is some sort of friend of our movement, and they're like, well, Donald Trump is anti-war. No,
he's not.
Donald Trump is pro-imperialist. Donald Trump escalated sanctions. Donald Trump tried to overthrow Venezuela. Yes, Donald Trump did not start a war. He didn't start a war because John Bolton wouldn't let him. Donald Trump said he wanted to invade Venezuela. So that people like they think anti-war is one thing, but you guys understand, anti-war is old shit, nigga. Like we need to be anti-empire, anti-imperialism, and RFK is not that. Now I appreciate it, so let me read this. Here's RFK arguing for Joe Biden's position on Iran to ensure the security of Israel, because that's why he's running, not for you. He's running for Israel, not you.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk to Pasta. We're gonna have a debate on this. I'm gonna hurt a lot of RFK fans feeling on. You guys think, nigga, this is a game? like I called Marianne Williamson out on some bullshit. I'm gonna leave RFK alone. You think this is a fucking game? This shit is horrible. What he's saying here: to ensure the security of Israel and indeed the Iranian people, Iran must not be allowed to develop nuclear weapons. This is non-negotiable. Wait, hold on. RFK, all right. So Israel, the country that bombing Syria and committing a genocide, they are allowed to have nukes, but Iran is not. You guys understand? This is standard imperialist Joe Biden, Donald Trump, Republican, Democrat position on Iran. And this is what makes this statement so ridiculous and scary. And this is why RFK is not anti-empire. He said that position is non-negotiable. So if you guys think RFK is anti-war, if you guys think he's anti-empire, I got a question for you guys. What if Iran said no?
Yeah,
what if Iran does that what's in their right, and Iran said, you guys abandoned the Iran deal, we have the right to pursue nuclear weapons, which they do because the United States put our Iran deal. So RFK's president, Iran said fuck you. Then what do RFK do then? He puts sanctions. He escalates against Iran the same way Joe Biden is doing. Go ahead, guys.
No, he just keeps doubling and tripling down on this shit. It's like Linda Sarsour hacked his account and is trying to make him look as bad as he can. It's unbelievable. Every chance he gets, he's looking worse and worse. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing. Like he's clearly non-responsive to a lot of the criticism, right? He clearly feels he's got to double and triple down. That's what running as a Democrat does for you. That's what it is.
You guys see Max Blumenthal was begging him because Max Blumenthal was a supporter because of COVID takes, and then Max Blumenthal, because he cared about Israel Palestine, he saw his takes on Israel Palestine, and he was horrified. He was like, "Dude, RFK, please come on our show, please let us teach you the shit." RFK, like, nigga, you can't tell me shit. I'm a kid. Sorry, Russell, go ahead.
It's we're a primate species, and one of our weaknesses is we're prone to follow leaders. I think it is very difficult for people to wrap their heads around the idea of a leaderless movement. And I think they're also locked into a pattern. It's hard for people to break their patterns. I wrote an article about this primary called Dawn of the Dems, because in the original Dawn of the Dead, at one point, one of the characters says, "Why are they coming to the mall?" And he says, "Instinct. There's a memory. It's what they used to do." That's what this reminds me of.
Wow.
It's just this instinct of what they used to do at election time, get behind a candidate. Even after everything they've been through with the Bernie movement, even after everything they've seen about the DNC, you can't make a rational argument for why you're backing RFK. I mean, you know how this works. Even if you think he's the best candidate since sliced bread, he's running in the Democratic Party. You know how it works. You're like the zombies in Dawn of the Dead. You're just wandering towards the shopping mall because some part of your brain can't give that up. It's what you used to do.
You know, when I was in Philly, sorry, go ahead.
No, sorry, kid. Go ahead.
Well, when I was in Philly, for example, I saw firsthand people still thinking that Bernie Sanders could still win, that he had this in the bag, that he could still become president. And, you know, I understand now why there is such an attachment to Marianne Williamson and RFK. It's because people want to relive that moment because Bernie Sanders was so close to it. And truth be told, if Bernie Sanders really wanted to fight, we really would have gotten to that moment and that point in time, but he didn't, and people still want to hold out for hope and see that could happen. And unfortunately, we're not in that point in time, and people are still hypnotized by the romanticism of changing the system.
Yeah, well said. So, any last takes on it? We can write the story, and let's do super chats and see y'all pass to you. That was
let's do the Trump
I'll be right
reaction,
back.
and then we'll get to that.
So, any last takes on RFK, Marianne, before we do super chats, real quick? Going once, going twice.
I mean, I just want to add this in because I feel like anytime we're talking about these people, when we say that the good things that RFK does say, then people think that we are shielding for them. But for him. But what I do want to say is that we're post-duopoly, so we don't have a dog in the fight of any of these candidates that are running in a Democratic Party. So I'm just on the outside looking in. But some of the comments I keep hearing about Marianne Williamson is like, both of them are terrible. But if you're saying Marianne Williamson is better than RFK, you are such an unserious person.
So unserious.
You just his little bit of critique of Ukraine makes him far and beyond. The only people who are saying that are people who have Medicare, or people who are this professional managerial class who have put Medicare for all as the guiding light of being a leftist, which is absurd to me because, again, healthcare for everybody is not a left principle. If you can have a lot of conservative countries and conservative people in other countries who want Medicare, who want single payer healthcare for everybody, that doesn't make you left. Standing up for the oppressed, for the repressed, especially people in Palestine, that's what make you left. So that's why when Nick says like that's not a small disagreement, that is a huge thing that you're saying. This big chunk that historically would make you a person on the left fighting for the oppressed, you are no longer that. It's like a boutique sort of left, and I guess that's where that name comes from.
Well, right. You may as well put Medicare for all on the lawn sign now, right? In this house, we believe love is love, science is real, Medicare for all, because it's just a virtue signal at this point, because there is no real political momentum behind it, right? I mean, there was no doubt in any of our minds that there was no way in hell Joe Biden would pursue a public option like he said he would. And that tells you everything you need to know about Medicare for all. The Democrats ran against it. The Democrats demagogued against Medicare for all in a far more clever and devastating way than the Republicans did. It was the Democrats who came up with the line, well, Medicare for all means taking people's health care away from them. So it's dead. It's a dead issue. It's a virtue signal at this point. It's not a real idea at this point. And so in that way, it's as boutique as it gets. It's just like you see outside one of these McMansions, science is real, love is love.
Not only is it not real, not only is it not real, the boutique left that pretend that is the issue that make you Malcolm X, they don't even have a coherent strategy to accomplish it. Because how many of these people that run on Medicare for all, their bread and butter, how many of those people endorse Joe Biden? How many of these people, how many of these boutique leftists that are weak on empire but love Medicare for all? That's like almost a complete circle. They're the same crowd, the same people that vote for Joe Biden. Like Jordan,
even in statewide races, Newsom promised it. Then he went back on it, even after having a supermajority. Which of those California Democrats raised hell about that? Where's Newsom now? Newsom is now front runner if Biden croaks, right? There's no price to be paid for betraying voters on Medicare for all. It's a non-issue. It's ridiculous. It's a virtue signal.
Well, I think part of the reason you're seeing some of this in our own crowd is, it's the Venn diagram. Like, there are people who like our kind of media, but they're still kind of into that cultural signaling. So RFK with the vaccine stuff is too close to Joe Rogan and all that, and they hate that. Look, I just put up a picture that I took on the subway that I thought was a very dystopian picture. The guy in the middle had a mask and a face shield on.
Oh God!
But look, I know how to focus a camera. It wasn't just about that guy. To his right, there's this, 20-something on his phone hunched over. And to the left, there's this woman who looks like a zombie with the headphones coming out of her ears. And, I wrote, I got to get out of this town. And it triggered the Covidians, which it surprised me, man. I had people from our own audience coming after me. You know what? I had a really bad case of COVID. So look, I mean, some of these people are in our space. And I think those are the people who are going for Marianne, because RFK's signaling, his cultural signaling, even though they think of themselves as left, they're not comfortable with it.
And the funny thing is that the best description of these boutique leftists who claim that they are on the left because they support Medicare for all, there's a ton of these people, especially a lot of these Marianne Williamson supporters, who did not support Force to Vote.
Yeah.
Who did not. You got to know, RBN, we had 5 people at the time who gave a speech at the March for Medicare for All. I gave a speech. It's on our YouTube channel. I gave a speech at the Kansas City March for Medicare for All, right? So the thing is, I think it's worth fighting for, because that's one of the best ways to seize the assets of the big pharma and health industry, correct? But the people who put Medicare for All on their shield, and that's the issue they use to claim that we believe in 95% of stuff. They didn't support our strategy. They didn't support the First to Vote, and they didn't show up to the march. That's how you know it's the ultimate virtue signal. They talk about it. They put it in their profile so people think they're left because they live in a comfortable boutique life. But then when we asked them to fight for it, Forced to Vote, when we asked them to show up in the streets to march with them, they said, no, we don't want to be seen with your deplorables because you guys are part of the Jimmy Dore left. That's how much they care about Medicare.
Well, they don't even show up for the identity issues they claim to care about. I mean, not to go too far afield, but Jay, I mean, I'm sure you've been following this with the LA Dodgers, with this, anti-Catholic group that the Dodgers invited. None of the people who screamed so hard that this should happen, they didn't show up. The stadium was empty. It's just about going online and saying, I support this. They wouldn't even drive a car to the stadium to show that they actually supported it. It was empty when they did
I'll go further. I'll go further than that. I said this on this show, but I've also said on Hard Lens and a lot of other platforms. A lot of these people that protested in 2016 through 2020 when Trump was president, they were only there to be part of a crowd, to make their lives have meaning, to make themselves look like they were resistance fighters, to LARP at the idea that they were a part of the resistance against the 20-foot tall orange Cheeto called Donald Trump, aka Hitler 2.0. That's again. So again, I've interviewed a lot of these people who were protesting Trump and would then march to Trump Tower in Chicago. They never believed in a goddamn word that they said. And whenever I question them, or my colleague Daniel would question them, they would call us sexist or misogynist, or say that we didn't understand the bigger picture, or that we have to fight Trump and then we could do something about the Democrats, that we have to be pragmatic right now.
That's what they always tell you.
None of them are serious. It's only a handful of dauntless few individuals that actually do follow through and actually can be resistance fighters and actually do believe in what they're doing. Rome, for example, that library that he's building and all the other chapters that's happening with RBN. You got Misty Winston, her consistency for helping out or wanting to spread the word about Julian Assange. Jose Vega, and all the times him and his colleagues called out the DNC. So in other words, everyone else that we saw from 2016 through 2020 protesting Trump, you're frauds, you're liars. You only did it to make yourselves seem to have a point in your lives and your meaningless lives, and you're wasting everybody's time by being virtue signals. Look, I'm being mean, but you know what? You gotta tell them the truth. They're not fighters. Look, I've gotten criticism from a lot of these people who said, oh, well, Heartland's me, you changed. No, I didn't, because I heard a lot of you motherfuckers say you were going to clog the streets if Roe v. Wade was going to be overturned.
Yeah.
Where are you?
Remember, they were going to hold Biden's feet to the fire. They were going to hold his feet to the fire. I happened to be riding my bike up the Upper West Side when they announced when they called it for Biden. Remember, it was like the next day. It was like the next afternoon that they called the election for Biden. I was on the Upper West Side, so I took a bunch of pictures of people at brunch, and I posted them. I said, they didn't even wait. They went back to brunch. They're already back at brunch. And I had all the resistance people. We're gonna hold Biden's feet to the fire. I said, motherfucker, you never held a Democrat's feet to the fire in your life. You're gonna start now. You expect me to believe that? You're gonna start now. You guys are already on the mimosas.
Well, Humanist Report. He tweeted out on as Biden was being nominated in. He said, "Well, I'm shuckling oysters." I think it wasn't Humanist Report. It's Rational National. Yeah, it was a cringe tweet. I'm shuckling my oysters and everything because everyone was going to brunch. Yeah, it was Rational National. He was saying like I'm shuckling my oysters. Yeah, no, he tweeted it out. Just same thing like Rob Reiner. He tweeted out, "Hang on, kids, we're gonna get you out of those cages." No, you freaking didn't.
Kid should be a comedian. I'm telling you.
No, don't put me in that lion's den.
Yeah. All right, so let's do a couple of announcements, and we'll get back to it. Unless you were going.
Yeah, let's do super chats, and then we still got to cover the RFK.
The main story, yeah.
So I'm gonna do super chats real quick, and we still got the main story. So, man, this is a fun panel, isn't it? I hope you guys enjoy. Yeah. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, share this around.
Let me shout out a couple of things before you get to that.
Yeah, go ahead.
First thing, because I do got to shout this out because we just had this event. So I do want to show a couple of pictures because people did donate to this event and it was a great success. So this is some of the pictures when we went down to Skid Row to do some help.
Wait, I'm confused, man. I'm subscribed to Status Quo, and Status Quo said RBN don't do anything. I'm confused.
Yeah.
Are you telling me that the white boutique managerial class lies about a group of working class black activists? What is it? I thought he said you did nothing. I'm confused. They would never lie about black organizers, right? I thought Jordan was on the line.
Well, he's upset that you don't put this on YouTube, so it's good you're showing this now. You know what I mean? It's good that
Let him finish.
Let him finish. No, that's cool. You guys chiming in, but this was. I mean, I got to say, it was a success. We picked up some items from the Goodwill.
This is Skid Row in LA.
Yes, this is Skid Row in LA. I should have said that. This is Skid Row in LA. We're right in front of the Midnight Mission. This is where we decided to set up, and I'll show you just a couple of pictures here, just showing some of the feeding. This is one. I'm not sure who took this because I had lost my phone or something that day. I didn't have it, so somebody was taking pictures. But thank God they had their phone. But this one also shows where we were. And I took, I'm not gonna.
That's good work. That's good work, CJ. But it doesn't count because we didn't put it on the thumbnail.
Yeah. That's the thing. That's the thing. Like we almost didn't get these pictures. Like we had to remind ourselves because when you're out there setting up, you're not thinking, "Oh, get the camera." You're not thinking of that. And then we had already got through 5 boxes of pizzas, and I was like, "Oh, somebody needs to start getting pictures because otherwise we won't have any memorial of what we're doing." So that's what happened. And we talked to this guy. I won't show this video, but you can go on our page and watch it because it's a longer video, 5 minutes. Older guy, 71's been down there long, just telling us different about his life. But it's amazing how people are they're not letting this get them down there. Like this guy was happy. And what one of the volunteers came out and said, like just coming down here and talking to people is doing something, even if you don't bring food. And that's what this guy was saying in his video. He's like, "Look, I'm talking to 4 people right now," as if he doesn't get a chance to talk to people.
Dude, when we were feeding homeless people in Kansas City, they were so happy to see us, man. Like it's such an uplifting thing. What CJ's saying is so true. Like when you talk to people down who are treated like shit by society, and you look at them and you smile, right? Like the humanizing these people is everything. Sorry, CJ, go ahead. This is fantastic. I'm very proud of our brother CJ.
Yeah, my wife is right here, and she was trying to get it because literally we put the clothes out and we could barely get them out, and this is what they started attacking the clothes. She was like, "Hold on, everybody, let's try to do this in an orderly." But it was no use in doing anything in an orderly fashion at all. So, but 160 slices was gone in 30 30
Wow.
minutes or less. And then this is just another picture of us set up. Here's one of our volunteers, Chris. He came out. He knows us from YouTube. He doesn't have a Twitter account. I was like, hey, what's your Twitter? I don't have it. I know you guys from YouTube. So Chris, if you're watching, just let us know whenever you're watching. Say, hey, I'm Chris. I'm the one that came out. I do want to show you one video. It's about 30 seconds because I wanted to get a glimpse. This is just one street, one small block that happened to be across the street from the Midnight Mission.
Wow.
So times this like times 80 blocks of this, right? So let's watch. It's about 38 seconds. We're down here, down by the Midnight Mission. This is the Midnight Mission, and this is the corner we're giving out the food. Just wanted to give a more up close look at some of the stuff down here on one of the blocks of Skid Row. This is a street right by the Mission. I must say this: that street is not blocked off.
Wow.
They're just there's certain streets where people, this section of the world, of the planet, has been so given up that there's certain streets that traffic doesn't even come down. There's no cars that drive down there. There's very few. Like I drove down there to park, but this street is open. The street is open. It's just no, it's just nobody's doing anything. It's just terrible. But let's finish the video real quick here. And usually near the missions is where you have a lot of people gathered, and you can see here, this is like wall to wall.
Wow.
Down here. Yeah. So just wanted to give you a glimpse.
That's happening under Chicago too.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I hope that pizza didn't come out of Chicago, man, because that's just cruel.
Dude, first of all, number one, on Thursday, we're going to have a long conversation about your violent words. But number two, I'm seeing all of that here in the city, and it's been getting worse here in my city in regards to Chicago. Like, again, underneath the bridges, underneath the highways, you're seeing a lot of these tent cities, these communities being set up, and all around neighborhoods are being gentrified, and these buildings, these apartments, these condos.
In Chicago?
Yeah, in Chicago. Yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Underneath the highways. Yeah. There's a lot of tent cities.
No. I'm saying it's getting gentrified in Chicago because I thought it was.
Oh yeah, Chicago. In Pilsen alone, we did a lot of stories in this in 2018. 10,000 people were displaced in Pilsen alone because of the gentrification. These large real estate developers moving in. When you have the schools shut down, especially in the Black and Latino communities, that's like the death blow to a community where they again, like the property values go down, or either that they build up an industrial facility in the neighborhood, doing environmental racism and pollution, causing the people to be displaced, and then the properties get bought up, and anyone that does remain, it's either they're going to get evicted, or they're going to face homelessness, or they can no longer afford to stay in the neighborhood. It's pretty bad.
They're doing that.
When I was living there, they were doing that with Wicker Park, which I assume at this point is all the way there.
Oh, it's the South and West Side neighborhoods in Chicago, the Black and Latino communities, and I'm a South Sider too. You're seeing it come in mass, in which again everything is rising up in price, and you're seeing housing being shut down or properties being brought up. And of course, then you have also the industrial polluters here too. These same bastards who live in the suburbs or up on the north side, and they're making in huge profits. And now we got this new guy, Brandon Johnson, who's offering no new ideas. He's no better than Lightfoot, in my opinion. He's still just giving word salads. All the while, the same people who've been causing economic hardship for the working class people in Chicago, it's getting harder. People's lives are not improving in this city.
Yeah. Kit, I want to take a trip out to Chicago. I'm gonna make sure I set that up with you, because this I think, Nick, that's gonna be my thing, is like this unhoused stuff. I think that's gonna be
we need
my
to do.
Yeah, that's gonna be my thing. Like Rome does feed the people. I think mine's gonna be Skid Row. And to your point, Kit, they're doing the same thing. I was just talking to Chris, who was one of the volunteers. I was like, they're building these high rises, and I'm like, guess what's gonna happen when it's done?
What we need to
tell
do,
those people to get the fuck out of here and get the police to get them cleaned all out. And there's several high-rise apartment buildings that are currently being built literally in some of the streets in Skid Row in LA. It's just
really.
What we'll need to do is start off on the north side of Chicago, and you'll notice either we could take the red line, because the red line goes from the north side to the south side of Chicago, and you start off on the north side. Everything looks nice. You know, the north side's got its problems too. All right, there's no such thing as perfect. But going from the north side all the way to the south side of Chicago, you'll see a big old change. You won't see smooth streets and nice little communities. You'll see everything started getting boarded up. You'll see Chicago hyper segregated in all its prime, from the north side to the south side. It's something you'll want to film. And it's gotten worse, in my opinion.
All right.
Let's
get to the super chat. Yeah.
Let's cause we got quiet, but I'm trying to get through these as much as I can. We appreciate everyone who loves super chat. Actually, thank you for $5. Niz Michael Smith found y'all after the Marianne interview. Nick is brilliant. Keep exposing the if you live in the swing state left like Mal Kulinski. I'm surprised, man, because boy, that the professional managerial class who love civility politics and they worship civility politics, man, were they mad? I had the audacity to ask Marianne Williamson hard questions. How dare I? So I'm glad you like that.
Yeah, I mean that's the shit that Jordan was bringing up really when we were talking about that on the show, the pushback on Marianne, and I mean it just shows. Nobody really wants to. We're like in my neighborhood, we used to call it skells. We're like the dregs to them, right? It's they look. Yeah. That's how they look at us. We're not connected. We don't come out of Harvard. Hey, Russell, we don't know their friends. So we're fucking peons. How dare we talk this way to these people?
Their priorities so different. I saw one comment that lived rent free in my head. There were some comments, some bigger comment made that like, man, this is why you guys never gonna get another interview with Marianne. The fuck, what the fuck I care? That's my fucking priority, and they telling themselves. They telling themselves something. Now that comment, I get locked. I read a lot of comments. That comment lived rent free in my head, guys. Like I give a fuck about a politician come on my show. She asked to come on.
She wanted to borrow your credibility. That was why she wanted to come on your show. And when it turned on her, she turned on you immediately.
Yeah, she thought we was gonna be happy that she just showed up. Nah.
Exactly right.
I don't care about talking to celebrities. Like I'm having fun with this panel way more than talking to fucking Marianne Williamson. You guys see I do Nick at Night with Missy Wilson. You got Zoya's Love, I have Andrew, I have all these smart motherfuckers. I'd rather do a show with them way more before I interview a politician. That shit is the least of my concerns. The only reason I did it because she fucking asked on the timeline publicly. I'm like, oh, shit, at this point I might as well. And then she thought I was gonna hold her hand. She gave me anyway. I don't want to rehash. She already did break it on video. You guys should watch it if you guys want to hear what I say. But she said after asking to come on, she then said, "I'm only gonna give you 20 minutes." So you think I'm gonna allow you to come on my show to do an infomercial? You think that was gonna happen?
That's what she wanted,
right?
Yeah, that's all she wanted.
So when she said that, I was like, okay, this is gonna be the hardest 20 minutes of your life, and she handled it well. Anyway, let's move. All right, let me move on just for sake of time. Thank you for the $5. You guys super chats are always thought provoking, so you got our community's big. That's why I always go long on this, but I'll try to speed it up. Thank you for the $5. Janice, wasn't KK the one who said West should run green? Yes, this is a super chat that came earlier, but this is why I said there's many people who got their bluffs called because they didn't think that Dr. Cornel West was going to change. The funny thing is, when we interviewed, when we had the Green Party people on, I'll let you guys in on the secret. When we had remember that I had the Green Party people on right before Dr. Cornel West came on? We already knew at that time. Right. We already knew, but we couldn't spoil it. So it was like, I was seeing, me and CJ, we was laughing our ass off behind the scenes because we seen these motherfuckers digging their grave because we knew the news already. And I was like, bro, I can't wait till this announcement comes and I'm gonna see what they had to say. And then they were like, oh well, actually, they should run that Democrat.
Well, it was such an obvious excuse not to support him. Well, we would, but he's running with the wrong party. And then, of course, they had to come up with another excuse. There is no way these people are doing anything that's going to get them disinvited from holiday parties.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Absolutely. Now, just for a second, time move on. Feel free to interrupt, guys, because this is super chat's always fun for me and CJ. Thanks for the $10, Nicole. Off subject, but thanks for collabing together. Like I said, this is very fun. These are
we have fun.
Watch all of you. Just saying thanks. Thank you for the super chat and the solidarity. And then no one for Nicole. Big shout out to her. Show Nicole some love in the chat. Is anyone here going to be doing a deep dive of the Fed Now thing starting this July 1st? Please say when. Don't want to miss it. Are you guys having fun? I need to look into this.
I don't have a line on that.
Yeah,
the Fed Now is that like Cash App sort of card that the federal government is going to be rolling out. I'm not sure anybody will cover that, but stay tuned. On this channel, it might be on one of our satellite networks.
What they're rolling out a digital payment service?
It's like if you want to use a Cash App site type service where you can transfer money, that type of thing. That's what the Fed Now is for. Yeah.
Thanks for the $5. Oh, my bad, CJ. My bad. But thanks for the $5.
No, go ahead.
ARJ. Kyle Kulinski is a capitalist now. He always was. And capitalism is good to him. Therefore, Biden is a great candidate once Marianne dropped out of the primary. And can I make a plea for you guys? Because this is how I treat it. You know how people like Kyle said, "Oh well, I'm voting for Dr. Cornel West because I live in a blue state, but I'll vote for Biden if I live in a swing state." They're Biden supporters because you using your platform to tell people to vote for Biden in swing states. So yeah, you got one vote. You got one vote for a third party that's coming for you that's inconsequential, right? You are then having thousands of people that vote Democrat. What's your ratio? Your ratio is crazy in terms of urban Democrats. So these people are Democrat operatives. I'm gonna continue to call them that. I'm not giving them that bullshit out. Like as Glenn Wall called out, if you're not challenging the Democrat Party when it's consequential, if you're not advocating people to challenge the two-party duopoly, you're an agent of the two-party duopoly. This is the language I want our community to use. Thank you for the $20, Mike.
Vote third party. Vote third party. That's all I gotta say. Vote third party. You don't owe anybody in the two-party system your goddamn vote. Vote independent.
Yeah, I keep trying to speed up, but man, we definitely appreciate super chat. We definitely downstate at least until we finish.
It's hard. It's hard. Yeah.
Thank for $20. Loved. I don't want to I always feel like I ask I don't like just fuck off. But anyway, we don't. Thank for $20, Mike. Love the Post-Duopoly crew. Kyle sucks. When he and Crystal became a thing, I unsubscribed from Broken Points and gave RBN and the Dissidence guys. If you didn't check out Kid from Harlem Media, make sure you check out his show. Every morning, Kid dropping a powerful show. Yeah. I gotta join one day, Kid. Anyway, let's do
doors open for all of you to join in.
You do 5 days?
Yeah, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Start your morning right and righteously angry. Pour some whiskey in your coffee, grab a mimosa, smoke a bowl, do some shrooms, chew on some cocoa leaves, whatever you need to get you through that morning.
It's just too early for me. That's like 6 a.m. for me. It's just so early for me. That's the only reason.
Yeah.
But Kid joins us sometimes, so I really appreciate that, Kid. So, but go ahead, Nick, with the super.
Yeah. I'm down to join one day. Usually I'm drinking my tea, listening to Kid breaking down news. Thank you for $4.99. Right. Will Compton J is awesome. Yeah, our boy CJ putting in work.
Yeah,
putting in work.
Are we gonna do that once a month? That's that's locked in. So next month is the July one is coming.
What? So, What? So you gonna be down there once a month? Once again, I'm confused. I'm subscribed to Status Quo. I listen to Jordan. He said we don't do anything. Not only did he say we don't do anything, he said he voted for Joe Biden. You know what? You guys would know the excuse that Jordan gave you for why he voted for Joe Biden. I can find the clip. He said, I was in the streets. I was talking to people. So since I was in the streets and I was talking to people, that's why I'm gonna vote for Jim Crow Joe. So CJ, you was talking to people. You're not voting for Biden? I'm confused.
Not at
that's
all.
why Jordan said you vote Democrat. You talking to people.
Because if you're in the streets and you're voting for, that means you shouldn't be voting for Biden. That to me, that's why I always say, if you're a journalist, you should be the top person screaming not to vote for Democrats. If you a journalist, David Sirota and Jordan from Status Quo. But go ahead, Nick. So Biden 71, This
That boy
one is
covered the
about-
Flint water crisis and
Oh, I'm
then
sorry,
endorsed and voted for the vice president that helped cover it up. What a fucking clown. But anyway, thank you for the. That's why I said it. Like your work, you just fucking making money off of pain. That's what you do. You make money off of pain. You put cameras in front of people's face who go through trauma, and then you vote for their impressors. So when I explain this stuff to Jordan, that's why he lied about us. Not because of the bullshit you make up. I ratioed him multiple times. I exposed him. I explained his concept to him. So then he worked backwards. He can't say that. So you make up bullshit like CJ and RBN don't engage in mutual aid, despite the fact that everyone sees it. Anyway, I love like
and he always and during that interview he kept saying, "Oh, I don't watch you guys. I don't watch him. I don't know." He knows he watches us, okay? Because he was a tell in the interview. It was a tell in the interview because he was like, "I don't watch you guys." He said it multiple times, and then at the end he started to reflect. Oh, you guys said this, and it's like, well, I thought you didn't watch these guys. And the same with RBN. They watch us. That's the only reason he could say you're doing all this content. Like, how do you know what content
that's
we're
what
doing?
made that so challenging from our point of view, is that there were a lot of contradictions. It was a lot to keep up with.
It was boxing water.
Like, it was
boxing water because it wasn't like he would stand up and make an argument for the squad, because that you can go after, because you would say the squad sucks, and Jordan would be like, "Yeah, they do."
Yeah, I agree.
So then you lean in. It was very judo, So then you would lean in.
That's what they do.
And then he would say something that was completely contradictory, and you'd go after that, and then he would move over here. It was. That's
what they do. That's when you're virtue when you're virtue signaling. That's why you have that fluid position, because you don't want to get like locked into your terrible position, because it's like. You know what I mean? Like, you're pretending you're virtue signaling about all the radical things. It's almost like they want to be part of a cool club. They know they're not in the cool club crowd. You know what I'm saying? The radicals, the ones that want to do the most. They're not there, but they have to signal for that. Go ahead, Russell.
With Jordan, it's really complicated. Like, even preparing for that interview, it was difficult because, I'm reading through what he had to say about the squad, about the Democratic Party, about the DNC, and 90% of it is pretty much what we would say. And then there's, I'm voting for Joe Biden. Yep. So it's like, well, what? It makes it very because you can just go in on a shit lib who's going to be like, AOC is trying really hard. He doesn't say that. He doesn't say. Keaton said it best right at the top of any response to, well, if you don't like gossip channels, why'd you go on the Vanguard, and aren't you angry that they didn't even promote it? They put two gossip pieces on it. And he
says, well, no, I respect that they're a gossip channel and they admit it.
We never saw that coming.
Well, at that point,
I was like, I'm done.
Honestly, I felt, I wasn't going to hang up on him. I wasn't going to stop our own show. But at that point, I really didn't know where to take things. Like, I never really recovered for that, I'll admit, because the point of establishing that, the point of doing that first was to just get out of the way. Okay, the obvious truth here is that, you don't have a problem with them burying your interview because they're your pals, you share audience, and you don't want to cause problems with a show that you share an audience with, because then they might turn the audience against you. That's just the game. Everybody plays the game, right? I was actually trying to be conciliatory. It's like, okay, let's just cut the shit. Let's not pretend that you don't play the same game everybody else plays. Everybody does it. So let's get that out of the way. Okay, fine. Now let's talk the issues. The issues being that tweet he sent where, okay, the anti-vax and the pro-Putin and the, what was one of the other things, the homophobic. Like, what are these issues that you have a problem with? Tucker Carlson. Let's go through those. If you notice, I had a lot to say about Ukraine in that interview. I wanted to litigate all those issues. That's what I wanted to do. But when it became very obvious at the very beginning that I wasn't going to be able to nail him down on any position, because
the King.
Well, that's it. Not only that, this is a good example. Right in that context, he said, well, if they want to be the Beavis and Butthead of the Midwest, whatever. So you can't be like, well, why are you complimenting them? Because he's not. He's totally trashing them. And
That's
then
not what they
saying,
describe
but
themselves,
yeah,
though.
no, I don't have a problem.
No, I don't have a
with going on
problem.
their show.
So
Go ahead, Nick.
The problem that you had in that interview, because you thought that Jordan would at least care to have moral consistency, because you nailed him on the Vanguard thing, which was masterfully done. Because his criticism of us, he's like, we don't do anything. Right? He said we don't do anything. Only thing we do engage in channel gossip, which, as you guys know, is obviously untrue. Right. Well, that's his criticism of us. He said we don't do anything. We engage in channel gossip. But then you nailed him. You're like, oh, you have no. Why are you okay with the Vanguard though? Who does nothing but that? He said, well, the Vanguard, they admit that they are just jack-offs that don't do anything. Right. So if you admit that you don't do anything, then it's okay to not do anything. But if you do stuff and you don't admit that I don't understand his logic.
No,
so
well,
it's logical nonsense.
Obviously, the real hard-on is for Jimmy. And so I said, well, Jimmy refers to himself as a pothead comedian 6 times in every broadcast. So he's admitting there that he's a comedian doing a political comedy show.
Well, right. The thing is, we admit we just fucking guys doing the best we can. So if you are putting in work and you're engaging in mutual aid, apparently you can't do that. But if you don't do it, like the Vanguard, then you can do it. Like, you guys see how that doesn't make any sense. And then when he like, yeah, I don't care about that contradiction. You was like, bro, seriously? Like, that's when you like, bro,
I didn't have anything beyond that. Like, I honestly felt completely without my legs for the rest of the interview, because there's just no way to define the terms of the conversation past that point, right? I mean, it's impossible.
That's
all right. My moment like that was when I tried to litigate the Twitter exchange that you guys had back in, I think it was November, when he was in the hospital. Mm-hmm. And look, man, I brought up, I was like, no, I don't think, I believe him that he didn't realize what the beginning of that thread was or who he was talking to, because I just can't imagine he would say what he said if he understood who he was talking to. That was my Vanguard moment. I could not, because I thought I was giving him an opportunity to climb down from that and be like, oh yeah, that was my bad. He doubled down. He was like, to tell you the truth, I have no respect for them. I was like, at first, I thought he was going to, he started to say something that was like, no, I think they do support white supremacy. And my jaw dropped. I said, hang on, you're saying that they do? He was like, and then he realized this is going to be the end of my career. And he was like, no, I don't mean that, but I don't respect them. I was just like, what do you do with that?
Well, the thing about
I couldn't
Jordan,
believe it.
Well, the thing about Jordan is that, I remember, because when Heartland's Media started in 2017, this was when also he was really high and mighty with TYT Politics before he broke away and trying to do Truce Against the Machine. When he had that whole scandal surrounding him, and we actually did a segment when we were on radio back in the day about that. And that's when we kind of had our falling out with Jordan, because we wanted to get his perspective. And when we did the segment, without him giving us a response back, this was like 2017, 2018, I believe. He came at me and Daniel like, oh, well, I guess you guys really aren't hard lens media after all. And the thing is, he's the one who inspired us to get involved in social media.
You're not Hard Lens Media. You're that show in Chicago.
Yeah, exactly. Which is like, dude, you knew who we were because we were with him when we went to East Chicago when the entire black community was, again, being poisoned and displaced because they were built on top of remnants of a lead smelter factory. But I'll talk about that for a later segment for another day. But we were there with him. And the thing is, who helped rebuild Jordan's entire career? It was Jimmy Dore.
That's another thing I don't get.
Always,
I don't get it.
We gotta get a super chat, but go ahead.
I just gotta say this. But anytime Jordan went on Jimmy Dore's show, what was the front and center story? It was something that Chariton was working on. Without Jimmy, Jordan wouldn't get that boost. Without Jimmy, Jordan wouldn't get those additional 10,000. When you guys asked him, hey, when you started off, Jordan, what was your initial subscriber count? He got 10,000. Holy God. That's a big freaking number to start off with, Jordan Chariton.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, this
we just got there.
Yeah, we still had to get to the main story.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry,
I didn't mean to get into that.
No, it's all good. I kind of started it. Thank you for $5. Niz, y'all are tripping on RW though. Who RW? Though he mainly RFK. What the fuck are we talking about? He mainly argues for worker co-ops and explicitly post-capital idea.
Richard Wolff, that's who he's talking about.
Oh, Richard Wolff
from a while ago.
Yeah. I like I said, I think he's good on the economy, but like foreign policy is not his strength. It's just not his strength. If you endorse you guys see that video that we played with Marianne. If you endorse her, your foreign policy is not on the radar, and that's to be expected because Richard Wolff is not. I'm not saying he's sellout. I even said when I said that, I said when I say you are to my right, I'm not saying that. I don't view that as a moral barometer. Literally 99% on people who are to my right? So I'm not saying that as a moral. I'm just saying the fact. So I am not surprised when he endorsed Marianne Williamson because he didn't.
I mean, I don't know that he endorsed her. He just said nice things about her. It's just weird because she's, to use your phrase, Nick, she's so deeply unserious. What is he? What are you talking about? Like, even if in theory you like what she says on economic policy, she's a joke candidate. She's a novelty candidate. She is the novelty song of candidates. What are you talking about?
Yeah, thanks for the $20, Bennett. Where are the millions who should be marching in the street to stop aid to Ukraine? And
at brunch.
At brunch. I was just gonna
at brunch.
They are absolutely at brunch. And if protests really started to hit the fan regarding Ukraine, you will really see why I say the United States is fascist. Look at what they're doing to protest, to people who protest in Cop City. Imagine there's a giant movement protesting NATO in the war, bro. You will see the police state crack down like a motherfucker. Anyway, let's continue. Thanks for the $2. The couch sitting libs never labor for the people, which is why they will never show up to the events that CJ hosts. They never show up to the Tour for the Poor. Didn't show up to the March for Medicare for All. Even easy shit. Thank for the $49.99. Thank for the super sticker, Martin. And I'll read 2 more super chats, and then all the other super chats I'll read after our next story because we really got to get to that. So 2 more, and then I'll pass to you, CJ. Thank for the $10, Carrie. Jesus was socialist and definitely not globalist or motorist. Was far from emotionless and never ever chauvinist. Few seem to know this, even less want to grow from this, even though we're broke from this. I generally don't talk about religion because I'll hurt a lot of you motherfucking feelings, and I'll hurt a lot of Christians because I think a lot of Christians in this country are full of shit. Like think about our country, this individualistic country, not following a goddamn thing the Bible said. Jesus definitely was a socialist. I don't think Jesus is real, but the concept that he was preaching was 100% socialism. So you got Christians that take what Jesus said, love the poor, feed the poor. Rich people are not gonna go into heaven, they die with their wealth. Like he said explicitly socialism, communist shit. If somehow Christians took that and became capitalist, that's why I don't generally have respect for them. But anyway, I don't talk about it because I try not to hurt people's feelings.
Yeah, let's not hurt people's feelings.
I'll move on. Thank you for $5, Arthur. Last week, Savvy said Marianne people reach out to. Oh, that's gonna be funny because Savvy is an assassin. Like she's gonna. You guys seen, the biggest example is like when she was pushed back on Nick Brana, she had Jesse Ventura on. She pushed back on Jesse Ventura. Like Savvy is gonna get her, I believe. So I don't know why.
Is she putting her on?
I don't think so. She would have told us. I don't think so. I don't think so. That's just sad. You reaching out to Savvy and she's not bringing you on. That's pretty sad. That's pretty sad because she feels, and then we can get to the story. I think
you guys are going to be the last to know if she brings her on. She's not going to want you guys jumping on at the end again.
Not at all. Not at all.
She's going to keep you out of the loop on that.
That would be hilarious.
You're going to find out when the rest of us
hilarious.
find out.
Oh, CJ,
go ahead.
Just for the sake of the
she's gonna
segment.
put that one on Rumble.
Yeah, I can take it down.
Yeah. Just for the sake of the segment, and I'm gonna tell you when to put a video because I just want to preface this just for the people who haven't folled the story.
Oh, I was gonna bring Joe Rogan's tweet up. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You start with the. Okay, yeah. I can bring it up. Yeah, I'll bring it up real quick. So I was gonna show this first, but until we got to that part, I was just keeping that up so people knew that segment was coming up.
Fair enough.
But let's go to the tweet. I think you were gonna just about to reference. And
yeah, so this story is hilarious because I told you guys many times on the show, I am tired of bitch ass motherfuckers who talk shit in the political sphere And then when the person they talking shit to asked for a debate, they said, "Why are you bullying me?" So this happened to me many times. Like when you had Hassan Piker lie about our General Strike Summit. Well, I'm like, okay, invite me on. And I want you to explain to me why it's a bad idea to educate people about General Strikes. And then people were like, oh my God, how dare you ask to go on Hassan Piker's show? How dare you challenge Hassan Piker to debate? And I'm like, I did not give a fuck about Hassan Piker. He put my name in his mouth first. So if I'm one of the people, and I never ever did a segment on anybody, I wasn't willing to debate. Never ever. And I think if you're one of the people who use your platform to talk shit on people, like literally the entire boutique left, the leftist mafia, these kind of people, they talk shit on people, and then they will not refuse. They refuse to let them back up. They refuse to back up their shit talk, and they will never have dialogue with people. And this is a scourge of our political discourse. So the funny thing is, you guys see the tweet he shared this. So I'm gonna share this quickly. I'll put it back. Because this is the article, and I watched quite a few segments. We would have watched the Media Science segment. I read a few articles and stories. Every single news story is planning this as RFK, Joe Rogan, and their audience bullying Peter. What the fuck his name? Peter. What the fuck is his name? Hotez. I blanked on his name for a second. My bad. I blanked on his name. But Peter Hotez.
Playing the role of Dr. Fauci for Shit Libs this week. Dr. Houghton.
Peter Hotez.
Hotez.
$35 million on a $200,000 salary. So this is a wealthy white man that is as privileged as it gets in the society, right? Now liberals are trying to put in a situation where this millionaire oligarch who have access to, like, he has so much power that whenever he's bullied, he can go on the Media Science show. Like, there are people, NAFO and liberals try to dog call me all the time. Do I get an invite on Media Science? The point I'm making, this is not a victim. This is a guy with a ton of influence. He's very wealthy, and he's a serial liar. I got a video we can play to show why he has to debate. So they play this thing and pretend that he's been picked on because he shared this article. And after this, I'll pass back to you, CJ. He shared this article and tweeted smearing RFK and Joe Rogan. And this is the article he tweeted in 100% agreement to. He says Spotify has stopped even trying to stem Joe Rogan's vaccine misinformation. So this is Peter Hotez calling out Joe Rogan and RFK, saying that they are peddling anti-vaccine disinformation, and he's trying to get them pulled. So this is him threatening the Joe Rogan experience because his position is that the Joe Rogan experience should be pulled because of their vaccine information. So if that's your position on them, of course you should debate. So Joe Rogan, after that, and after we can get to the video, Joe Rogan obviously respond. Actually, I might. You got the tweets, right? Because I'm gonna show you.
I can put it up and then you can read it if you want.
If I can add in here one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So here's how you know Hotez is a hoe. He's citing Vice as a source, even though Vice is going belly up and bankrupt because again, it's
why
a failed
are they still
institution.
around? I thought they were bankrupt.
I mean, again, Vice is a shadow of what it once was. So that's how you know Hotez isn't serious. Also, number two, Hotez was that kid in school that would always talk crap, but as soon as the right person stood up, they'd be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. Please don't do it." No, Peter Hotez, you called out Joe Rogan, you called out RFK Jr., and you said that they were spewing out misinformation about the vaccine. So man up and step up. Vote blue no matter who. You should have this in the bag. You got the science backing you up. This is one of your heavy hitters. What, are you afraid that automatically, like, maybe you don't know what you're talking about? Plus, he drags in again Tucker Carlson, Elon Musk, says that they're all part of this cabal that will help get Trump reelected. All right, if that is your statement, then proof. Show up and face off against RFK Jr. Right. Do it if you got the ball sack to do it. But if you're going to be talking about people's names, putting them in your mouth, if they push you back, well, then you, buddy, are in a fight. Exactly. Then fight. Don't be a bitch. because I'm going to call you out. And I've been tweeting out all the stuff. He even posted on Twitter recently, here's my award. Fuck you and your award.
Well, this is a dissolute aristocracy. If you look at the way they handle being challenged, it's always the same. It's always, this is beyond the pale. This is a violation. This is the mob. These are the filthy, unwashed, ignorant masses at the gates, and they're so foolish. This is post-Trump. They do not believe in debate because the masses are so foolish. You'll only elevate them. Don't debate him, Roderick. You can't debate him. That's only going to give him a platform, right? That's their reaction to everything. And just like all despised aristocracies, they always think more people are with them than there are, because they only speak to people who are with them or for professional or financial reasons are incentivized to pretend that they're with them. But when you sit there and you watch these morons talking about platforming RFK and how you shouldn't debate and this is a horror show, and fucking that moron George Takei, god damn it, fucking
Yeah,
McCoy,
I'll bring
McCoy's
that
gone,
tweet up.
and we're
I'll bring
still
that tweet up.
stuck with fucking Sulu. God damn it. Only the good die young. So you got all of these people in this bubble. Oh yes, everyone needs to follow Dr. Hotez, and they just never realized, look, there's a reason. Doesn't this tell you anything that Joe Rogan is by far the most popular podcast in the country?
Mhm.
Doesn't it tell you anything that every time you lay a new charge on Donald Trump, his poll numbers go up? Doesn't that tell you anything about the fucking people about to storm the Tuileries, about how much they fucking can't stand you people?
It doesn't tell them anything because they can't self-reflect. But after what you said, Nick, about him, calling out Joe Rogan, this is what Joe Rogan said. Now I'm going to try to go in order here. This is what Joe Rogan
click
says.
Peter Hotez's tweet because you can see what Joe Rogan says first. So
Okay.
this is and you can
Let me click this again. Yeah, let me click this again. There we go.
Just so you can see, just so the people who haven't followed see the whole thing. So this is where Peter Hotez tweets out the article. So I'm framing this and I'm emphasizing this because it shows how ridiculous the COVIDians and Peter Hotez people are being. We're gonna go through the Mediasan video where they're pretending he's being dogpiled for as if he's just some innocent guy that RFK, Joe Rogan, and Elon Musk randomly decided to pick on. No, this is a guy with tremendous power, tremendous influence, tweeting and talking shit about Rogan, tweeting out a Vice article. So Rogan does something that is very admirable. Like when this guy smearing him, this guy was on Joe Rogan's show before. I'm gonna show you guys a funny clip on that. But he said he offered $100,000 to a charity just for you to all right, you share this article explain why what we're doing wrong, which you as a vaccine scientist should be easily able to do. Now, this number for people who don't know is up to 1.6 million last time I checked.
It's up to 1.6 million. This is from other people throwing in money, right?
Oh. Why wouldn't you want now if you're if you're so on this COVID, why wouldn't you want to donate 1.6 million to some COVID fund? Why wouldn't you want to do that just so you can come on and say the facts that you say are facts? Why not do that?
Everyone can have a face shield.
Because the thing is, the reason why probably Hotez, because of the won't face off against RFK Jr. is because he doesn't have things. He could be called out for the fact that during the Trump administration, Hotez went in front of Congress and spoke at a committee about why the vaccine would be dangerous to use under the Trump administration. That's a thing that RFK Jr. And the thing is, Hotez can be called out as a hypocrite as well, especially now that the World Health Organization has deemed COVID no longer the overall threat that it once was. So YouTube shut the hell up. World Health Organization declared it not a threat. But again, 1.6 million. If that's a number that's risen up to right now, Hotez can't also accept it either because you know what? He'll be ostracized the same thing the way Jon Stewart was ostracized during the pandemic too, because then he's no longer invited to speaking events. He's no longer brought on to MSNBC. And again, if we saw how Mediasan and CNN have been going to bat for him, This is a guy who can't really fight for himself. He's a nerd who picked the fight with the wrong person, and now he's begging other people to fight for him. He has no integrity.
So when he tweeted this out, I'm sure that he didn't respect Joe Rogan to reply like this. So after posting this, he started this, guys. He started this shit. So then Joe Rogan, they raised all this money. Now, CJ, you can go back to the tweet beforehand. Just hit the back button, and then you can see Peter says. So he said, "Joe, you have my cell, my email. I'm always willing to speak to you. Are you fucking soft, gaslighting, passive aggressive pussy? So you call out Joe Rogan publicly to your 300,000 followers. Then Joe Rogan responds to you like, come on, man, why are you airing everything out in public? What a gaslighter. So he pretended that Joe Rogan, like, come on, man, if you have a problem with me, why don't you call me? Why don't you email me? Meanwhile, you're the one who started the public debate. Why didn't you just, if you wanted to be private, you would just, hey, Joe Rogan, I'm going to send text an article. Hey, do you know that you spreading vaccine information? Like, and have a private conversation. So that's so Weasley of him to do that. So this is Joe Rogan saying, you guys chime in after if you guys have anything to say after I read this. This is a non-answer. I challenged you publicly because you publicly quote tweeted and agree with that dog shit Vice article. Now, I could not emphasize it enough because Google RFK Rogan and Google right now and look at the news section. Every single story is pretending that he is some innocent old man being a rapper. You started talking shit, and Joe Rogan and them called you out. And Elon Musk, he didn't even talk shit. He was just like, yeah, I think this debate should happen. He didn't even talk shit. He just said nothing rude to the guy. He just said, yeah, I think they should debate. And now they pretend that Elon Musk is dogpiling on him. Now, you let's
finish the tweet. Finish it. Let me finish the tweet. It says, if you're really serious about what you stand for, you now have a massive opportunity for a debate that will reach the largest audience a discussion like this has ever had. Yes, and including the Mehdi Hassan show. If you think someone else is better qualified, suggest that. So if you don't want to do it yourself, somebody that will be your mentor no more than you, same offer applies. And of course, like you said, now he has become the victim. And Nick, you tell me which video you want to play, because I do have the mashup video where it shows him
so let's play
flip-flopping.
Yeah, I want to show that clip after the Mehdi Hassan show because I wanted to show you guys the person that
there's Takai. There's Takai.
If you want to, you can pull up the RFK, not the RFK, but the interview with Mehdi Hassan and Peter Hotez.
Oh, okay,
God.
Right,
okay. Hey, brace yourself, folks.
So I'm gonna share this screen. I'm gonna share my screen just real quick, and I'll put your screen back up because I want to show you guys just one example, and just so. Because I don't want you guys just to automatically believe me. This is from Business Insider. Let me here it is. And this is the framing coming from everybody. You see, a vaccine scientist has been tag teamed and dogpiled on by Elon Musk, Joe Rogan, RFK has been overwhelming. You guys see how they frame him as a victim?
Oh God.
So you can find articles like this.
Leave that up. They're adding this to the culture war because you tell me Joe Rogan and Elon Musk aren't on the other side of this culture war, and along with the just COVID, the pandemic, and following along with vaccination. This is about this. So that's what they're doing because they know this guy. He put his foot in his mouth, and now they're responding. So it's like, wait. Let's make this into a culture war so we can have people pick sides. Go ahead.
Yes, CJ, that's a great point because. CJ, that's a great point. Russ, I'll pass to you if you want to chime in. But that's a great point because why do you think they include Elon in this? Because liberals hate Elon. Well, if you follow attention to everything that Elon tweeted, he never antagonized Peter Hotez. The only thing I saw was him saying, I think this debate should happen. I want to host a debate. This debate should happen. There was no harassment there. That's the only thing Elon says, but they include Elon as being someone who dogpiled on them. This is from our media that people think is honest. So now I'll pass it back. I'll share my screen and I'll put this back up.
I'll put this one back up. Yeah.
So now we can watch the video because I will show you guys how they frame it. Let's watch the video and then we're gonna show you guys how this guy is full of shit and he is so discredited that asking him to come on and debate is the best possible scenario for him. This guy should be in prison. This guy should be disbarred. This guy should be discredited. after everything he lied about in the video we got to show, him debating on Joe Rogan is a light punishment for what this guy's done. Anyway, I spoiled it. Let's watch this video first.
All right, so we'll stop it 3 times, 1 minute each. So we'll go 1 minute and then we'll comment, and then another minute and comment so we can get through the video here. So let's let it play 1 minute. I know it's going to be hard. We've all seen this. It's hard. It's going to be hard to get through a minute of listening to this. So let's do it though. 1 minute and then we'll pause it, and then I'll play another minute and pause it there. So let's go.
Contrary to what RFK Jr. and other anti-vax nuts have claimed, there is no connection between vaccines and autism, no connection, no established documented connection between vaccines and serious diseases or mass death. Vaccines tend to save lives across the board, do they not? That's what the peer-reviewed evidence overwhelmingly shows, does it not? And people are dying right now from COVID still because the evidence on COVID vaccines' efficacy is being ignored or shouted down on social media.
Well, there's three or four moving parts to this. So I'm a vaccine scientist. I make low cost, patent-free vaccines for low and middle income countries. We made 100 million doses we made 2 vaccine prototypes that led to 100 million doses being administered in India and Indonesia, no patents, minimal strings attached. So we actually found a way to bypass the pharma companies, and yet RFK Jr. incessantly calls me a pharma shill when...
Well, you are pharma.
He is.
So you found a way around those pharma companies to make money for yourself.
Plus, he also found a way to, again, ensure that anyone that was going to be critical of the vaccine, especially after Trump was elected out of office, would be vilified as a bad guy, anti-science, or racist, or misogynist. I mean, this is the guy who a year before, during the Trump administration, was yelling out precaution and wait a minute, the vaccine may not be safe for human use.
Kamala said that.
Yeah,
Kamala said she'd be hesitant to use the vaccine.
Biden said that too. So this is what the face of what a hypocrite and a liar looks like. Hotez is a liar. Hotez is nothing but a guy. Now, well, you know what? I don't have to respect this dude because he went out and started a fight on Twitter and is not following through with it. He should have this in the bag. If he's so confident, if he's so smart, he should have this in the bag against RFK Jr. But if you look at his previous interview that he did with Joe Rogan, even Rogan was calling him out for his lack of consistency. Even he was stumbling.
If you think this is similar to what Zelensky does, what you going on TV, bro? You're not going to the doctor's office. Why do you have this on? Why do you? This is not a coincidence. He has this on, and he's saying all these good things about vaccines to pull the audience to his side. It's similar to what Maury Povich does. You bring whoever you bring out the first guest on Maury Povich. That's the guest you're going to be on. That's the guest they want you to be with. Same thing here. He's on here. He comes out here in his coat. That's to appear.
He's a salesman.
You got to think the average MSNBC watcher is looking at, man, he must know something. He has a white coat and some letters on it. This guy must know something. And then he goes into, I'm doing these patents to do this, and I'm doing these vaccinations that's helping this company, helping this country, and helping this country. This is all to get people on his side. And this is pretty sad to me because even with Mehdi Hassan, Joe Rogan still has way more viewers that's watching his shit. Even if you go on a Mehdi Hassan show, it doesn't even it's not gonna. It just makes this more.
It's got to be 20 times the amount. It has to be. It's got to be, exponentially more.
Right.
That's a great point, CJ. Because I told you guys I sold cars. Right. He's a salesman. We had a nice uniform that we wore at Toyota. We had a nice. Well-designed shirt with the Toyota logo on it. It was I actually really like the shirt. I was poor. I didn't have shirts like that. It was the fabric. And it was nice. Dude. It was a dope ass uniform. So because I'm here to sell cars, right? So he got this scientist jacket on because he's here to sell vaccines. So we have 1,000 criticisms of Dr. Fauci, right? You guys realize that this guy is way more unhinged than Dr. Fauci was. Dr. Fauci says he will say stuff like, yeah, you guys gotta get both your boosters, right? You know what I mean? You gotta get both your boosters. This motherfucker was saying on TV that you gotta get a booster every 2 months.
Well, you remember they were floating that trial balloon to see if they could convince people to get a booster every 6 months. Yes,
Yeah.
well, the virus might mutate, and people might have to get boosters forever. Look,
So-
I'm not gonna please whatever COVIDians you might have, although I don't think that crowd really comes to this show.
No,
So-
that
No,
much.
they're not
when you look at some of how this plays, and when you look at the whole way they go to culture war and fear, you can see it. It's all of a piece to me. You know, AOC using these code words for people protesting are these are people from outside the community. They're outside. Ooh, right? Okay, man. Liberals are fucking neurotic people who are prone to be fearful. And that's why this shit works on them so well, because they are frightened people with no fucking balls. That's why you go into these blue places, man, and they're still walking around with these fucking masks, man. They're those kind of people. They're the kids who did whatever they were told in school as grown-ups. They're the ones who never rocked the boat, who never caused any trouble, and they are very trusting of authority and establishments. And the way to frame things for them is there are bad people who are a threat to your safety. They're very responsive to that. And that's why everything goes back to that. As soon as this happens, it's Joe Rogan. It's Elon Musk. It's the barbarian. It's always the barbarians at the gate who are a threat to your life and safety.
Let's play another minute and we'll get comment. We'll start with you, Nick, since you're ready to go. So let's play another minute and then we'll go to Nick.
Our vaccines maybe kept Pfizer and Moderna out of markets in India and in Indonesia. So I don't understand that piece. And then the reason I got involved with RFK Jr. in the first place is I have an adult daughter, Rachel, who has autism and intellectual disabilities, and wrote the book Vaccines Did Not Cause Rachel's Autism, that refuted all of his false claims. And that's been, he's been kind of after me ever since then. And now he's at it again. But this time, Elon, I'm sorry, this time, Eddie, it's caused something really terrible. And that is during our COVID pandemic, I have a new book coming out that basically says 200,000 Americans needlessly perished because they believed the anti-vaccine disinformation and refused to take a COVID vaccine during our Delta wave and BA1 and Omicron wave in 2021-22 after vaccines were widely available. So the point is, anti-vaccine disinformation, it's always done a lot of damage and harm, but now it's illegal.
So this guy says like RFK's after me. So listen to what he said. Rewind the video if you have to, right?
Sure.
He said, I wrote a book going after RFK. He said, I wrote an entire book attacking RFK. You wrote an entire book attacking the guy. So then after saying that, he said, I don't know why RFK is so fucking fascinated with me. Why is RFK so obsessed with me? You're the one who wrote a book about the guy. So after you wrote the book about the guy, he was like, this book is horseshit. I bet you can't back this up to my face, which you can't, because I bet you in that book, he says a bunch of bullshit that is probably misleading his position, probably lying by omission, and he knows that RFK will correct him face to face if he quote the nonsense that he wrote in his book. That's why you don't want to have the debate. That's why RFK wants to have a debate, because you wrote a fucking book about him. Go ahead, Russell.
Well, that's the thing. If you're so confident in your point of view and you're so passionate about it that you wrote a book about it, wouldn't you be chomping at the bit to debate that person? Right? If you really believe what you're saying, you have that much conviction, you want to take them apart on Joe Rogan.
Well, it's
also easy to write a book against someone. Imagine, Kid, I know you want to try to imagine if I wrote a book about you just full of fucking lies. Like, I got this scathing take about Kid exposing his journalism. And then soon you're like, hey, I got some problem with the thing you wrote in the book. Like, no, I don't have to debate it. What if I just made everything up in the book up?
Yes.
And I don't want to debate you because you can clear it up on air. That's why you don't want to debate RFK, because his book is probably trash that RFK can pick apart easily. But go ahead, Kid.
Well, the thing is, again, what we're seeing from Hotez is that he is a man who has been pampered his entire life. And he's also somebody who has the shield of corporate media that has turned him into their little unsung hero.
And
He
Sulu.
knows him and Sulu, but we're not going to talk about Sulu. We'll say that for another day.
Come on, man. I know you. I know you're a
I-
sci-fi geek.
I know.
Sulu. That's painful. That hurts.
I know. It does.
Doesn't he realize that the same pack of braying seals that he performs for are the same people that threw him under the bus in 2 seconds as soon as he was falsely accused of a sexual assault?
Exactly, and that's wrong. And the thing is, when we have somebody like Hotez explain to people the science, as soon as he's being scrutinized by somebody like RFK Jr., you're going to realize one thing: he's a man who can't fight. He can't fight at all, be it in words or in a street fight. This is
None of
somebody
them can.
This is how you could take his lunch money from him. He's the guy who talks big words, but as soon as he's put in front of a competitor, he will shrivel, he will shriek, and he will bow down to pressure because he cannot back up his words. He'll be called out as a hypocrite, and there's a lot of information out there that not only RFK Jr. has access to, or Elon Musk, or Tucker Carlson, or Joe Rogan, but all of us do too. The internet has a very long memory, and Hotez is hoping that mainstream media can cover for him. He is unable to stand on his own 2 legs. He's a worm. He is useless, and he's a coward. So if you want to fix this little commentary that I'm saying on you, Hotez, don't be a hoe. Go to Joe.
Also, if you don't want people to think that you're hiding something, don't look so much like a mad scientist from an H.P. Lovecraft adaptation. Like this guy is Bride of Reanimator right here.
You mean to tell me these aren't the same people? I'm gonna go back to the video. You mean to tell me this is not the same person right here? You mean to tell me Al Franken is not this guy? This looks like the same guy to me.
Oh my
God! You point to Al Franken and you point to the Dr. Hotez. Pick which one. Pick which one because they look very similar. But anyway, that's just a funny little side note. Let's get back to the video.
Did you guys see the video of where Hotez was confronted by a citizen journalist saying, "Hey, why won't you talk to Joe Rogan?"
Yeah, I saw
that.
And
Well, apparently he did a video where he went to the
harassment.
Texas police saying,
harassment.
Yeah, he went to the Texas police, so turning himself in because there were social justice warriors saying like, "Oh, you should turn yourself in, or you should be arrested." And the police were like, "No, that's not a crime. If you both left, it's fine. You shook his hand. That's not a crime." I found that funny. I don't know if you guys seen that video, but there was like a 3-minute video follow up.
I didn't see him turn himself in.
We can finish here though. We can finish this. Let's play the last minute. Let's play the last minute then, because I know Nick has another video to show here.
Lethal force in the United States, and that's why we have to have that discussion. And I offered to come and go on Joe Rogan again. I've been on a couple of times and have that discussion with him, but not to turn it into the Jerry Springer show with having RFK Jr. on.
Oh my God.
Well, so it's sad because I said I'm so fed up with the debate me, because it's not really about the debate. If it was about finding out information, as you said, you've already written about vaccines and autism. You've already spoken and written about COVID vaccines. I think you've been on MSNBC and other channels hundreds of times since the start of the pandemic. People can hear your views and the evidence you bring to this. So they're not actually interested in evidence. And it saddens that you're a man who basically has saved lives abroad. With the vaccines you've developed, whereas RFK has contributed to a culture, a vaccine misinformation culture that has led to the deaths, as you say, of hundreds of thousands of lives, and yet he's the one being celebrated by tech billionaires like Musk and Jack Dorsey, while you're being smeared and defamed. And I would say, I don't know if you've agreed to debate or not. My advice is not to, and people might find that surprising because I wrote a book about debate, but I just think there's a time and a place for a debate. I don't think a historian of World War II should debate a Holocaust denier. I just think, that's my analogy here. Like, I don't think these debates between experts and cranks do anything other than elevate the crank.
That's a propaganda tactic that you use something very outrageous because then people go, yeah, that is. You use an analogy that's so where nobody's going to agree with. That's a propaganda tactic that he's using. But Go ahead, whoever wanted to chime in.
Wait,
I'll
Key, I
pass it to
think
you.
we-
Well, I
Yeah,
don't,
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
even
yeah.
agree.
First
I
of
don't even
all,
agree with the.
Oh, wait,
with,
let's go, Key, and then Key after you can chime in.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
for-
I don't even agree with the premise of that point. Like, if Holocaust denial was on the rise and you thought it was a problem, why wouldn't a historian on World War II
Right.
take
Yeah.
that debate? Why not?
Yeah.
You know
Why
what I
not?
mean?
I don't know, man. I've
To
always
me-
said Lincoln was soft on Douglas, man. I mean, he elevated Douglas with that whole thing.
To me, the real debate that the media is having here is should he debate him, right? So that becomes the framing, right? Right. So you have an outlet like MSNBC. Okay, it's a given that Hotez is right and RFK is wrong. So now the question is, should you debate, right? That's the framing, right? Is it responsible to debate? Is it not responsible? So, if you're a person in good standing with liberals and liberal power structures, be it politicians or media outlets, they will just give you they will grant you a certain assumption, I should say, that you are in the right. And then the question in their mind has nothing to do with whether you're right or wrong. The question in their mind has to do with, do you validate the other side by debating them, or should you do it, right? That's the real question. And in a case of a scientific discussion or a pursuit of some sort of scientific truth, debate is the best way to go about it. Like, science is a process of testing theories, testing hypotheses. The way you test them is you put them up against competing ideas, right? Competing theories. It's the only way to do it, especially when you're talking about communicating these ideas to a population of people that doesn't understand them very, very well, right? It's very easy for a guy, I mean, you mentioned the choice of wardrobe, obviously. It's very easy for a guy in a lab coat with a diploma on the wall to come up. They can give a presentation. What the hell do we know? Well, we know that we know something's wrong. He could do that. RFK could do that, right? It's almost impossible for a layman to decide who's right and who's wrong unless they're being challenged, right? Science is a process of challenging ideas. That's how you figure out which ideas are the best ones, is you challenge them. That's the scientific method. That's the process, right? So it's a process that relies very much on debate. Sorry, I'll make two more very, very quick points. Joe Rogan is not going to run a Jerry Springer style thing. Joe Rogan is a very, very mild-mannered, polite, almost timid guy who does 4-hour shows. He will take his time. You are not going to get ambushed on the Joe Rogan show. I'm sure he would do a very, very professional job. And the fourth thing I will say, I don't know much about this Hotez guy. These aren't issues that I look into much because we're generally not allowed to talk about them. So I generally only study issues that we're allowed to talk about on the show because I have limited time, right? To put into research and things like that. I'll tell you from my personal experience, okay, I have hypertension. My wife has asthma. My mother-in-law, who we were living with at the time, has an autoimmune condition. So we all got vaxxed. We all got boosted. We all got COVID. We all got moderate cases, right? And personally, what went on in my mind is, well, I'm a little peeved. I feel a little deceived that we all took vaccines to protect us against the thing, and then we got the thing. That generally doesn't happen when you take a vaccine, and we got sick from the thing. On the other hand, I can't discount the possibility that we may have gotten sicker if we didn't have the vaccine, especially in my mother-in-law's case, since she is older, and her systems are compromised. So I'm somewhat agnostic on the issue. So I feel personally, I would benefit greatly from seeing an actual debate, like a 3.5-hour debate, because I don't fucking know. How the hell do I know? And what, I could take RFK's word for it if I see him give a presentation, or I could take Hotez's word if I see him give a presentation. The only way I would actually come to some sort of understanding is to see those theories tested against each other. That's the scientific process. So what is the harm? He's up here trying to convince people there's some risk. It's just the opposite. It's the opposite. Stifling debate creates risk because when you stifle debate, you take the science out of it. Now it's just a culture war. It's just, okay, if I'm a liberal and I like MSNBC, I'm going to take their word for it that Hotez has the truth on his side. If I like Rogan better because I have more of an anti-establishment bent and he's giving RFK the microphone, I'm going to take his side. There is no way for a layman to actually, get closer to the truth unless you see the ideas challenged. That's why science works the way it does.
Well, it's the post-Trump. They believe that the peasants can't be trusted to come to the right conclusion with information, and the right conclusion is their conclusion. They are not confident the peasants will decide in their favor. That's why they don't want to debate. That's why they never want to debate.
So when you hear somebody like Hotez proclaim that this debate me culture would be on par with World War II historian against a Holocaust denier, I can't help but think, okay, this is one more way to add into censorship and suppression. We are already seeing how the DNC is denying RFK and Marianne Williamson to debate Joe Biden. What he is doing here is also creating further divide. And with this further divide, he is building himself a shield wall of people on social media to make sure that they cannot be critically challenged. The whole idea of any kind of debate is for people to think critically and hear the other side's perspective. And of course, there's always a winner and a loser in a debate. But what is clear to me is that a manufactured shield wall of public consent by the corporate media is being designed for Hotez so that he doesn't have to make himself look bad because people are viewing him as some sort of unsung hero. But look at his financial connections to those in the establishment. He may not be a multi-billionaire, but he is thriving off of the multi-billionaires and the establishment like the parasite that he is. If he is so confident, then he should not have called their names out. If he is so confident, then maybe at this point in time, he should. But every time he's tweeting out all his awards, all his statements, what that tells me is that he is a little dog that likes to bark. And here he is hiding behind Mehdi Hassan. Mehdi Hassan, who's also, again, calling a presidential candidate, RFK Jr. in the Democratic Party, a crackpot. Whatever your opinions are of RFK Jr., that's fine. Look, I'm not going to vote Democrat. However, these are his views and perspectives. If RFK Jr. is that much of a crackpot, Hotez should have no problem steamrolling through him. But that tells me that he cannot do it because Hotez is not confident. He is a man with no courage and no soul.
Now, because there's no upshot. Look, he has a book coming out. His job, as he sees it, is to protect his reputation amongst the people who are likely to buy his book. To him, there's no upshot in going in. It's all risk, no payoff. Right. Right. And I think
he's just going to piss off these people. They don't want him to do it.
Right. Exactly. Right.
So there's the clip that Matt Orfla made. We can get to that next. But you guys heard him mention a few times in the Mehdi Hassan clip that he was on Joe Rogan's podcast before. It did not go well for my boy. Like I saw this segment. I saw this clip of Peter on Joe Rogan podcast before, but at the time I didn't have time to do a segment. It wasn't newsworthy enough. But since this is in the news, I'm gonna show you guys what happened the last time this guy was on the Joe Rogan Experience and how this guy has been completely exposed of knowing nothing about health. He obviously a fraud. And the reason why these people gotta be questioned before I get to the clip, I'm gonna show you guys something. Like I used to train fighters while I was in college. I used to help people make weight. I studied nutrition for quite some time in my early 20s, back in my more martial art days, right? Do you guys remember this food pyramid? This is the food pyramid I saw growing up.
Yeah.
I can also get into how doctors used to promote cigarettes and how doctors said a doctor would smoke a cigarette every day. So this is the food pyramid I grew up with. You guys see what at the bottom there? At the bottom of the food pyramid that they taught us that scientists indoors, they say you should eat 6 to 11 rice, cereal, pasta. You mean carbs. They're saying in the old food pyramid that the thing you should eat the most is carbs. Now, we all know, even if you're not someone who into keto, like I was, right? Everyone knows, even the people who are not into keto, that carbs are horrible for you, that sugar is horrible for you, that bread is horrible for you. But in the 90s, they were telling people that bread should be the largest thing you eat. It's literally, like, when I learned about this, I could not stop telling people. They straight up lied to people for years about nutrition. Years, scientists like Peter Hotez, people who would brag on their authority to shut down the debate. I am a scientist. I studied this for years. Trust me. Eat bread. Now, we know why they did this now. Because once again, I was really too, like, this is why I used to talk about all the time before I got into politics. Like, you guys know what big food did to us? Like, why do you guys think America is so obese? Why do you think I struggle? Everyone struggle because there's bread and sugar everywhere. And they told people that eating bread is fucking healthy. And if you look here, we know now that as long as you don't eat too much sugar, you eat a lot of vegetables and fruit, that meat is actually great for you because meat is how we evolve our brain. Our brain evolved eating protein and eating meat.
Yes,
so
preach it.
They told you that eating meat was bad for you. That is not true at all.
No,
at
it's
all.
not, and it's delicious, God damn it.
Well, that deep dish up with the meatballs and the
We don't have any vegan representation
I want my
on
steak.
the committee.
Yeah, dude,
Go ahead, Nick.
I'm a little chubby now, but guys, when I was in the best shape of my life, I had a 6-pack. I would eat steak, chicken, and I would have green vegetables and fruit at night. That was my diet, and I was shredded, right? But they were telling you shouldn't eat meat, you shouldn't eat eggs, half fruit, but eat shit ton of bread. Now we all know this is wrong, and they lied to us because scientists were paid off by big food. They told you to eat cereal. Cereal is as bad for you as eating a bag of Skittles. You guys know that? Cereal is glorified candy. Yeah. It's glorified candy, but they was telling you to eat cereal. So my point, I'll wrap it up here because I can literally do an hour just on this because it was my old passion before I got into politics. They lied to us, and they literally killed so many Americans because they had cancer. They live unhealthy lives because they were following their advice, correct? So scientists have been proven wrong. Many great breakthroughs came from people who were vilified. The theory of evolution was vilified. Newton was vilified. Like many scientists were vilified at the time. The point being, if you believe that science is this status thing where they're always right, you are out of your goddamn mind. Which leads to this interview, which is hilarious.
We should do the post Simple Sugar show. That should be our next week.
I had to come
I didn't know Nick did that.
That's pretty funny.
Nick could fuck up a capitalist.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna train some people out in Kansas City. I'm gonna put a team together eventually again because that shit was fun. But Peter Hotez is the health expert, guys. He want to tell you what the decisions that you should make in order to be healthy. So I'm gonna show you guys what happened when he was on Joe Rogan podcast, and it did not go well. So let's watch this.
Do you take care of your immune system in other ways? Do you take probiotics? Are you cautious about your diet?
I'm not as cautious about my diet as I should be. I'm a junk foodaholic, actually.
Well, that seems like a terrible thing for your health.
It is a terrible thing for my health, and something my wife is working on.
But that seems
so. According to this guy, you should vaccinate, put all these chemicals in your body, but don't worry about your diet. The most important thing, guys, I had up and downs in my diet and my physique. I am telling you, your diet is absolutely everything in terms of how you feel. Like people get cancer, you get sick when you eat junk food. Your diet is literally what your body is made of. If you eat cake, if you eat junk, your body will be made of junk. If you eat meat and you eat good protein and vitamins, your body will be filled with energy. So this guy who is this health expert don't even understand his basis, which, by the way, many doctors neglect. But anyway, let's continue.
It's ridiculous for someone who works with health.
Yeah.
What's going on with you, man?
Sometimes, man, I just don't get it right.
How often?
What?
How often?
How often do I steal a bag of chips or something like that?
Do you eat garbage?
I don't know. No, hopefully not every day, but
hopefully not every day.
Yeah, maybe a couple of times a week.
Oh,
that's what with Rachel, my daughter with autism. That's like our thing is to go to the it's called the burger joint or to Shake Shack to get a cheeseburger. We'll sneak some fries. So
So you
living large, we call it.
like that mouth pleasure so much you're willing to sacrifice a little bit of
I
health.
am, yeah. I have to concede that's the case.
Well, there's, I mean, I don't have to tell you, but there's a large body of data that connects poor diet to a host of diseases.
But he wants you to focus on vaccines. Don't focus on health. Don't focus on diet. Don't focus on exercise. Just inject yourself with chemicals that Big Pharma tells you. And one last thing I'm going to say, and I'll let the clip continue. We won't watch the whole thing. We probably watch another minute. During the first 70 seconds of this video, does it look like Jerry Springer?
No, it doesn't.
No,
Joe Rogan is
he's as mild as it comes. Yeah, he is as soft and as accommodating to the guests as any interviewer out there.
Right. So that's why I want to show you guys this. I want to show you guys like this is the guy they are going to pretend going to have a battle royale. Jerry Springer Smearfest. Look at how he treated him the last time he was on the show. I'll let it continue. Once again, we won't watch the whole clip. I found it very fascinating at the time. I think it's very relevant.
That seems like a crazy decision for a guy in your line of work.
There you go. Sometimes it's not all brain. It's something else.
But I mean, if you ate healthy food, I mean, the thing is, your body starts craving healthy food. You start feeling.
Yeah, no
positive
question,
results.
no question about it.
Do you take vitamins?
I don't take vitamins.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't think they do. I don't think they're needed because most in the
American. Hold up.
What? And there was a point where when I was really disciplined during that time where I would take vitamins. Dude, you feel amazing, dude. You feel like Superman. You never take a nap. When I used to sell cars, I used to work 60 to 65 hours a week, and I was really good at what I did. One of the reasons why I was good because I think I took vitamins. I was eating healthy. That's when I was at the peak. And he's talking about I don't take vitamins. I don't think it works. That's completely ridiculous. This is the expert. This is the expert. Had no idea what he's talking about on something that is extremely important, like diet. But King, I think you want to chime in, and we play the last part of the clip.
You should get ripped again. It'd be good for your thumbnails.
Yeah, do it, dude.
Thumbnails. But also,
go ahead.
The perception of Joe Rogan by people who have never heard him, this is something we talked to Matt Taibbi about, which is that, because Rogan has the background, with the MMA and the UFC, and he does the
bald head,
testosterone therapy and the bald head and the deer hunting and the, people expect they're going to hear some Alex Jones lunatic, when they turn on the Joe Rogan show, and he's the absolute opposite presentation. Very, very quiet, talks very, very slowly, always gives the guests ample time to say what they're going to say. So it's a perfect forum. It's a perfect forum for an extended debate. Because it can go 3.5, 4 hours. There's no time limit. They'll be able to review each other's materials in advance. There's no reason not to do it. Anyway, go ahead. That was all I had.
Yeah,
because you made the point.
Any last thoughts on that take, and I'll play the last one, and I'm done.
I have a comment. Once again, he's hiding behind his daughter's autism, which really starting to annoy me. You're hiding behind your little kid. You're supposed to be a health expert, and yet here you are admitting on Rogan's show that you consume junk food. How can I take you seriously as somebody who's also promoting a vaccine that right now has been systematically tied to people being hurt? All right. This is a guy who lied to Congress. All right. And this is an individual who likes to pick fights and never follows through. Dude, I didn't see any chairs falling around. I didn't see people swinging at him. I saw Joe Rogan simply asking him very calm, very simple questions that should not shake the foundations of anyone's mindset. But yet here he was just a few moments ago as we played him yelling and him screaming about, oh, I don't want to be part with RFK Jr. on Joe Rogan's show and have a Jerry Springer-like show. Jerry Springer had Steve to break up fights. Jerry Springer had a whole security guard team there. None of that's going to show up on the Joe Rogan show. It tells me Hotez was a liar, a fraud, and hides behind people. Not only by the media, but also hides behind his kid, too, which is pretty pathetic.
Any last thought? Now I'm going to play. Actually, I'll play because and then I'm gonna get super chat. You guys did. We almost 3 hours in, so I can read. I won't read the last super chats, but feel free if you guys got dipped out.
Yeah, I have that Orf video. If you got the Orf, is it called Orf?
I have it. So
okay, you got it. Cool.
So for people wondering why he should debate, this is exactly why. There are people like Mehdi Hassan pretending that he's above this debate. And it will make sense if we're talking about, and the example that he gave, like I can see what they're talking about, right? Where he said, if you're a historian, you should debate a Holocaust denier, right? There's arguments to be made, but at least I understand the framing, right? So that means what they're saying is that historian knows exactly what happened in World War II, and the person that said the Holocaust is not real is wrong. That is what they're trying to tie this event to. That is not similar because we got videos and we've seen what this guy said where he was proven to be a liar, proven to be corrupt. And when you're corrupt to the level degree, which we're about to show you right now, you owe the public some answers after videos like these. So let's play the video and I'll get your guys' final take.
Potential safety problem of coronavirus vaccines.
And then something changed.
Any vaccine released by emergency use authorization by the FDA is an outstanding vaccine.
J&J's vaccine has a risk of life-threatening blood clots.
When you hear the beep, that's the sound of safety.
So don't overthink it. They're both really good. They're all really good vaccines. Get vaccinated now.
You gotta call now.
If you wait, it's going to be really too late to protect your child.
If this was your child, what happens next could make it the worst.
I love what Matt does here because remember the point we were making that he's a salesman? That is what Matt Orfala is really highlighting in a great comedic way here. Now let's continue.
Zero threat to healthy children.
Vaccinate your children.
Do the right thing. Be safe and not sorry.
I'm strongly recommending for adolescents to get their 2 doses of vaccine and fully immunized after those 2 doses.
Advanced technology that can help save lives.
This is going to be a long-lasting vaccine. A long-lasting vaccine.
A few moments later.
We're seeing that 2 doses is not holding up well for emergency room visits. It's not holding up well for hospitalizations.
Here we go again.
Everyone's going to need a booster. You need that 3rd immunization.
Triple the amount.
Get that 3rd immunization. The 2 mRNA vaccines were always a 3-dose vaccine. The 2 mRNA vaccines were always a 3-dose vaccine. I've always said this is a 3-dose vaccine. I've always said this is a 3-dose vaccine.
What?
3-dose vaccine.
But I'm not done yet.
That 3rd immunization. The problem is it's not holding up. So we may have to look at sort of innovative solutions.
Oh God, not this again.
A 4th immunization.
Oh,
just to
This is the person they believe is above debating. This is the person they believe is above debating. I'll let it continue.
God, not this again.
A 4th immunization. Just to keep them
Don
going.
Lemon's not
The
even
country
buying it.
going. We have to consider some out of the box things. A 4th immunization. A 4th immunization. Get that 2nd boost. A 2nd boost to keep the country going. I've made that recommendation. A 4th immunization.
But I'm still not done.
1 semester later.
Unfortunately, the numbers are starting to trend up again. So the hospitalizations are up. And so the most important message that I have this morning is get your new bivalent booster.
Willie and Lise were saying they got their booster, and I was like, oh, I need to get mine. And then I found out they're talking about the 3rd shot. And is that the bivalent, or is it the 4th booster, or does it matter? Like,
Don't worry so much about the number of.
There's no wrong way to use it.
You have to get it. This new bivalent booster.
You can double or triple stack them.
The new bivalent one is.
So if you're I know people like that, I've seen them around. Like if you're a Walker Bragman, if you're a COVIDian, and you consider yourself to be a good faith progressive, a good faith leftist, and you are a COVIDian who thinks this guy legit, you think Fauci is legit, how do you see this video and this video don't chip away at your faith? Like, you're the most unhinged NATO left COVIDian there is. How do you watch this video and not change your mind and not question the narrative after this? It's unbelievable. Any quick thoughts before I continue the video? We let the video play all the way through after any last thoughts. Going once, going twice.
Hypocrite.
Is doing a much better job. You have to get a booster.
Yeah.
You need to get this new bivalent booster. That bivalent booster for COVID.
But does everyone ages 12 and older need a booster?
The answer is yes. Yes. And by the way, if you're over 50 and have gotten 2 boosters and more than 2 to 4 months out, you're going to need a 3rd booster as well.
Can you pause it right here?
Immunization.
Oh my
God.
I don't think we're going to need an annual.
So funny.
Can you go back to his face when it was kind of more light? Just a few seconds right there. Yeah. You mean it? Have you ever seen the skit of Eddie Murphy on Saturday Night Live when he dressed up like a white person? You telling me that doesn't look like this? That looks like a black guy with some white makeup on his face, like on that skit with Eddie Murphy. If you ever seen, it's an old skit. Like I'm older, so if it's an old skit. But if you haven't seen that, White Girls, that's the new version of it. Like that's what I saw when I see this. But go ahead.
So I just want to emphasize again before we continue. This is the guy that Mehdi Hasan and every liberal corporate journalist believes is above questioning. This guy is above questioning. That is what the authoritarians believe. Let's continue.
To need a third booster as well, a fifth immunization.
5.
I don't think we're going to need an annual booster like flu.
Eventually.
Dr. Hotez supports yearly boosters, just like flu.
But I'm still not done.
It looks as though the boosters are not holding up quite as well as we'd like. And I think our thinking is going to change, and that what's going to happen is every, few months, we may need another booster.
Bro, you guys realize that he's the most unhinged. Like, I may be wrong, but Fauci, as far as I saw, recommended 2 boosters. Like, correct me if I'm wrong. This guy did more than I've seen any COVIDian. This guy is recommending you getting a booster every 2 to 3 months. That's as insane as I heard anyone say. So they say that you need to get 4 shots every year. And you guys think he's doing anything else other than selling vaccines? This is absurd. Anyway, let's let it finish. We can let
Perfect results each and every time.
We just could not overcome that massive disinformation campaign. These fake concepts of herd immunity and discrediting masks.
Dr. Hotez, you are a national treasure.
It is picking off young people like we've never seen.
Dr. Peter Hotez, that was extremely informative.
Disinformation that you're hearing, that kids are fine, it's nonsense. Kids need to get that vaccination.
You healthcare workers have been our saviors.
Watch out for that misinformation.
Dr. Peter Hotez is probably one of the smartest people on this topic.
If you haven't gotten your 5 and up vaccinated yet, now's the time to do that.
Dr. Peter Hotez, thank you for saving the world.
They also support giving a third immunization for the 12 to 17-year-olds. People have to feel safe.
Dr. Hotez, you are a voice of reason.
Take down the fake information. Fake concepts of herd immunity. Our last hope is to vaccinate our way through this. Make certain that everybody's vaccinated, including their kids. That's the single most important thing right now the American people have to do.
Dr. Peter Hotez is a person that we like to go to for this sort of expertise.
The single most impactful thing you can do is make certain that you're fully boosted and preferably 2 boosted.
Later.
Monkeypox is a global emergency.
And it's accelerating among a specific social network of men who have sex with men, not because it's sexually transmitted.
Monkeypox is sexually transmitted, almost exclusively.
Before we let you go, we have to stop and applaud you because a lot of MSNBC viewers who have watched you constantly for the last 3 years or so and have come to trust you. I don't know if they fully appreciate what you've done.
So this guy, and I'll pass to the panel. Did my last quick.
Yeah.
This guy is known as a science communicator. That's why he's on the TV shows. Neil deGrasse Tyson is very similar. Not saying that they don't got legit science studies, but their job is a science communicator. Their job is literally to communicate science. So this guy who go on all the media channels because he is a science communicator, the argument they are making is he would not do well in a debate me bro conversation. So you tell me you're not good at communicating science? Your literal fucking job?
I'm going to probably need to pour myself another shot of whiskey after hearing all of the corporate talent, not journalists, because that's what they are. They're talent. That's what CNN said that they are. All these talent people at MSNBC, Fox News, CNN, all these people groveling at Hotez's feet, almost wanting to suck on his micro cock because he's been nothing more than a systematic liar. These people sicken me. Corporate media is lying to us. They're promoting people like this who, again, have made a career off of profiting and lying to people, voters, preying off their fears. Hotez, if you're so confident, you've had corporate media back you up, you should be able to easily walk on Joe Rogan's show. So every time you tweet something out, under Hard Lens Media, I'm going to say, hey, accept that invite from Joe Rogan. If you're so confident to keep on tweeting, do it. Go ahead and debate Joe Rogan, because at no point in time right here should you be viewed as a hero after all of your own hypocrisy has been aired right here on this channel, but also on so many other channels as well.
Well, that's it. When you look at the people that the corporate media and the political establishment tout, they're the worst people in the country. I mean, it's really incredible. They find these criminals and miscreants. I mean, look at this guy. Would you were a car salesman? Would you buy a car from that guy?
No.
And you're putting him on TV telling people, and that's what I was talking about. You remember these fucking criminals like him were they were testing to see how far they could push this. Like, well, can we get to 4? Can we get to 5? Can we get people not to be able to go back to work if they don't have a vaccine every few months? They were really probing to see how much money they could make off of it. And you could see the politicians, there was a turning point where they saw, all right, if we keep pushing this, there's going to be an uprising. Like we can't. It would be beautiful if we could just keep this grift going forever, but they're going to rise up against us. We just can't. And that's when you stopped hearing this talk. But yes, that's what they were trying to set us up for. A society where every few months you get an experiment. Well, I'm sorry, I don't want to mess up your show, man. Every few months you get something, and you can't work and you can't go into certain spaces if you don't. But it was the pushback was too great, and they backed down.
Just for YouTube, the reason why we covering the story is because we know Peter will absolutely destroy RFK because his vaccine work is incredible. Vaccines are safe and effective. That's why we want to see a debate, because we want to see the anti-vaxxers shut up. Just for the YouTube centers. They don't really care.
Vaccines are great. Vaccines are great. And
they're safe and
we love
effective.
Moderna. Yeah,
you better get your 6 boosters a year. You heard what you said. Get your 6 boosters.
Yeah,
okay, we following YouTube sites out here. The funny thing is, like, I usually don't do those disclaimers anyway, because if they want to take our channel down, they just fucking take it down. Anyway, I'm sorry, I went really long today. I was gone.
Not Sulu. Not Sulu.
This is literally the last thing I'm gonna share.
No, not him. Please, we beg you.
After this, we get some super chat. You guys can dip after this. We about 3 hours in, but this is the last thing on the story. George Takei. I'm showing him because he's a big liberal influencer, right? This is the messaging coming from the entire blue check liberal army, the entire Democratic army. They are turning this, like CJ said, into another culture war.
Look at what George Takei.
And this is the shocking, deeply creepy and concerning. I am not joking. This is very concerning to me. This trend of liberal obedience to authority without question.
Yep.
Now look at what he says here. I am now following Peter Hotez and every decent person here who believes in science, not quackery, should too. And I forgot which one of the panelists said this, but one of the reasons why they don't want to have this debate that reflects on anyone who called them out is because this is not science, it's a cult. And you do not question the cult. And then my last thought, I'll pass the panel for last comments. And this is my response, and this is why I'm covering this story. Because liberals they turn deeply fascist and deeply authoritarian. So I asked them, what do you mean by believe the science? So I show you the food pyramid in the 90s. If you was in the 90s, you'd be telling motherfuckers, eat your goddamn bread, believe the science. So as I said, science is not religion. I don't believe in God. I'm an atheist. I did not become an atheist to replace that with another God. And that is what many people are doing. We're now Peter Hotez is the Pope to them now. He is Jesus. He is their new cult leader. He is their religion. And this new trend of us blindly believing authority is something that we all must push back on. But anyway, that's all I said. I need to shut the fuck up. I was gone for a few days, okay, guys? Last thoughts.
Where are the Romulans when you need them?
Yeah, look, it's all culture war. That's the only thing it's allowed to be, right? And the only antidote to that is an actual debate on the science. And ironically, that's everything you're really not allowed to talk about on platforms like this, on YouTube, right? You posted the video that got you guys in trouble was a guy making a scientific claim. We're allowed to show, Matt Orfala take the piss out of this asshole, right? Because let's be honest, that's culture war too, right? It's all culture war except for the debate on the science. The only the only part of this that's not culture war is the stuff we're not allowed to talk about. How safe are they? How effective are they? Those are the two main questions. Aside from that, it's all culture war. And so if you're not allowed to ask those questions and debate those questions, then it's all a food fight, which is all the more reason why they should have the debate on a platform like Rogan's where you don't have to worry about that shit. It's on Spotify. He's protected. Nobody's going to pull him down. It's the perfect opportunity.
Yeah, well said. Russell, any last thoughts before I get into super chats? We're 3 hours in, so I won't blame you guys. You gotta go. I want to get to the super chats because I don't want to disrespect anyone. So I was gone for a while.
I'll just give this as my final thought. If you're going to start something on Twitter, be prepared to step yourself into a war zone. Hotez, you are revealing your true colors, and in my perspective, you are a coward. If you're going to call out people's names, expect them to stand up. I have lived my entire life in this city, and the one thing I've learned growing up in Chicago is that when you pick a fight with somebody, you better be ready for the pushback and smoke that will follow through. It tells me all these liberals are all talk and nothing else, which is why we should never let them browbeat us or yell at us or make us feel bad on how we're going to vote or our own political opinions, because they are all cowards. They're afraid. And when finally somebody pushes up, you watch them shrink, shrivel, and squeal like the little parasites that they are. And that's what they are. They're frauds, parasites.
You know, Kit, you talk a good game, but bring your pizza Thursday, bitch.
I can't wait for that. Bring your pizza. Oh, no, I can't wait for that.
That's what you want to call it.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait.
Big talker over here. Big mouth
over
here.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
My God.
This is a dissolute aristocracy that after the people did not vote for one of the approved candidates, they decided should not have a voice, does not have a right to information. Their whole ethos is that information, debate, the free exchange of ideas is dangerous because that leads to Trump. If you let the people make choices, they're not with us anymore. So you have to suppress their right to debate, to think, to have access to information, and to make choices. They are, in the truest sense, authoritarians, using very much like Rome after the collapse of the Republic. They kept calling it a republic, even after it was an empire. They kept talking about democracy long after they didn't have any semblance of one. That's what this is. This is an authoritarian regime hiding behind a popular branding democracy that they really don't believe in.
Yeah, well, so I'm gonna get into super chats, and I appreciate everyone who wanted to chime in with the discussion. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe so new people can see our heavily suppressed channel. Make sure you also check out Harlan's Media. Subscribe to their channel. Kid does a great show in the morning. I watch it while I make my tea, usually prepare my stories. Does a great show. Do this.
I watch it on replay.
Yeah.
So. And let me say this because I was reading through the comments, and I guess I was real abrupt with Kit earlier. I interrupted him too, and I read a funny comment. My bad, sir. I didn't mean it to do it. Say it that way. I didn't even realize it until I read this comment. But I'm not gonna put the comment up because it's pretty funny, but it's kind of
Thank you for the $5. We definitely want. We got. It's so hard to monitor the chat. The super chat is the best way we can 100% read the comments. So we appreciate anyone who want to chime in on the show. Thank you for $5, Vincent. Why don't they want people to hear from the other side? Sounds like they aren't confident in the American people to form the right opinion. Now, when you go on Twitter, you see the giant liberal circle jerk. You see the circle jerk Armenius on. Guys, everyone in my family is apolitical. Guys, people who are outside the liberal bubble, which is the liberal bubble consists of, at best, now I'm actually overestimating here, 25% of the population. And I think
it's less.
Yeah, I think it's less too, but I think even if I do a high number, it makes my point.
Yeah.
So let's say 1 out of 4 people are hardcore liberals. We don't think it's true. Most people are gonna see this shit and they're gonna be like, you guys are cowards who are afraid to debate. You guys are getting, at best, only 25% of the population. Anyway, I move on. I can't remember every super chat. Thank you for super chat. Thank you for $5. ARJ. Capitalists never have the moral high ground. Capitalism never existed without slavery. So, but the capitalists like, come on, man, we gotta have a little slavery. That's my mind. That's my radical mindset. Thank you for $5. Tusker. People like Hotez have destroyed my profession, and I don't know if people will ever trust healthcare workers again. That's why it's upon you guys. Like if I was in the health profession, if I was Peter Hotez, you guys need to restore faith. They don't care though, because they're authoritarians, and authoritarian by nature do not care about the will of the people.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You should call him Alexandria Ocasio-Hotez.
Yo, Tez.
I hate bow ties. They fill me with rage. Thank God that Tucker Carlson never wears a bow tie again. I don't understand it, but I don't come from high society. Thank you for the $20. Ming dude looks like Dave Chappelle. Yeah, that was CJ was saying. I don't know if that came before or after, but you guys kind of have the same kind of analysis. That's fucking. I really wish I know when exactly the super chat came, because if this came before CJ said this,
that's classic. That's a classic.
Exact. Yeah, I love it. Anyway, let's move. I'm trying to show respect to each chat, but we also got time. We got limited time, so thank you for $5 for Tuzo. We're the post-Atkins diet love. We got Duke eating bacon to treat our depression. See, now I gotta move on because I got personal experience with this. I lost like 50 pounds after high school. Like I grew up a chubby kid because I followed the 90s food pyramid, and I gained some weight after COVID. I'm gonna take care of that real quick. But I grew up a chubby guy, and then I got into keto. Learned they lied to us. The problem that a lot of people make, I saw another comment that said eating ketogenic diets leads to disease and all this stuff. What a lot of people get wrong, and I educated, this was something I was really into early in my 20s. What a lot of people get wrong, when you're on a ketogenic diet, you're supposed to eat 20 to 30 grams of carbs per day, but that 20 grams and 30 grams of carbs is supposed to be green vegetables. So if you eat 30 grams of green vegetables, that's a ton of positive nutrition that go into your body. The people who do keto wrong are the people who only eat meat and do not get positive nutrition and do not do vitamins. But I will cut myself off there because I don't want to rant too much. I can literally do a live stream on this on my own. So anyway, I'm not asking you guys to accept everything I'm saying, but I can back it up. And this is another one. Animal product causes disease. No, what causes disease is people not eating green vegetables, not eating fruits and vegetables. So what, like Brock Lesnar, he's a former MMA fighter. I follow his story. He got some liver disease because he ate a ton of red meat, but he wasn't eating enough vegetables, and that's what usually didn't prevent that kind of thing. So if you have a diet where you completely exclude bread, completely exclude sugar, and then you have a diet filled of meat, red meat, vegetables, and fruit, I promise you, and I know because I lived like this for a while, you will feel amazing if you live that way. Anyway, I don't want to rant to you guys on that forever. Any last thoughts?
Just eat it. Just remember, remove sugar from your diet. Like it has taken me some time to really get the proper kind of food in my household to not have any sugar on it. And you'd be surprised of all the stuff even products like salsa, for example, looking for something that doesn't have sugar in it, anything that doesn't have sugar in it. Yeah. Good luck. Seriously, like there is a small handful of products and food out there that have zero sugar in it.
That's in this country. I wasn't really aware of it until I married an Australian. And she was like, your food here is disgusting. Yeah, everything has sugar in it. You can't get away from it. Like you talk to people who move here from other countries, they're all like, yeah, so whenever I come to America, I gain weight. When I go back home, I lose it again. Just because everything in this country has sugar in it.
Also want to highly emphasize this because there's nuance in this conversation. I'm trying to fit all this in a short time. There is nuance to this conversation. What a lot of people miss when it comes to diet, that everybody is individual and everybody is different. So what some people do is keto don't work for them. Then they make ignorant statements like saying keto don't work for anybody. That is not true. Keto is amazing for me. There are some people who cannot pull off a vegan diet. And then there's other people who feel amazing on vegan. This is what a lot of people miss. Everybody human body experience food different. We experience chemical difference, and you pick the diet that works best for you. Like if you try keto, that don't work. Find another diet. The most important thing is eating healthy and getting nutrition in you. But anyway, let's move on. So and I say that for the people who like, I hate keto not good. You're not necessarily wrong because it's not for it. It's literally not for everybody. But anyway, I need to shut the fuck up.
I just gotta tell a story quick because somebody's laughing about this. So I took her to Pancake House because man, if you're American, when you're a little kid, man, like they take you there and it's like a treat. So you kind of have that comfort food association with it. Man, I took my Australian wife to fucking IHOP. She couldn't even eat that shit, man. She took one bite of that pancake. She was like, how do you eat this? I was like, what do you mean? It's like, this is disgusting. It's like, and I was like, I never looked at it that way. I guess it is if you're not used to lard with sugar, with fat, with salt, with sugar, with more lard. Like she couldn't even eat it.
Yeah, thank you for I think I skipped on accident. Thank you for the 199. Hotez, next face of science for next pandemic.
Yep.
He was out. He was already kind of a phase. I think Fauci got a lot of heat, but I think this guy was worse than Fauci. Like maybe I missed some things he said, but when you see him say that you should get 6 boosters a year, correct me if I'm wrong. I didn't hear Fauci say that. I had seen lots of stuff he said. He was wrong generally. Peter took it to the next level when it comes to vaccine code behavior, but I don't know, man, I might be wrong. Maybe I missed something that Fauci said.
That guy makes Fauci look like Madame Curie.
Yeah, thank you for the
but
199.
we have 100% faith in all the vaccines. They do present that.
They're safe.
We love vaccines. Yes.
Yeah, vaccines is amazing. Thank you for the 199, Franklin.
I put vaccines on my fucking sandwich, like fucking mustard. When I'm having a fucking pastrami, I put 3 vaccines on there.
Man, I'm about to do my delicious tomorrow. Thank you for the 199, Franklin. You should ask Jamie Foxx to give a presentation. Not sure what that means. I think Jamie Foxx is going through some shit right now. That dude's
he's going through some.
I'm not sure what the comment means, but thank you for the super chat, Franklin. This is Nicole again. We getting near the top, so we almost done. I appreciate you guys sticking in with us. I didn't mind doing a long show because I was been since Wednesday, so I haven't been on the channel since Wednesday, so I had a lot to say, as you guys see. Thank you for the $5, Nicole. Let's not breeze over the comment. Limited strings attached. Don't get the reference, but thank you for the $5, Nicole. Another one from Franklin. Seems like a white guy who experiments on brown children.
They're talking about the comment that Dr. Hotez was saying how he helps people in all these underprivileged countries. He was trying to make.
Yeah, I don't want to hear it from you, man. He tried to kill me with a coffee recommendation. Fortunately, I have a strong constitution.
Big shout out to Jack's Page. Thank you for the $2, friend of the show. Appreciate that. Another one from Franklin. A lot of super chats. Thank you, brother. There are many YouTubes that explain how to build a guillotine. Just got back from Home Depot. Sent some PMCs my way. And this is the kind of shit that got me in trouble because whenever
I was just gonna say strike 2.
Yeah, like that's one thing that like that's the highest blasphemy you can commit among the PMCs is endorse any sort of self-defense or retribution towards the ruling class that engage in violence against us. And I'm being very careful with my words here because we're on YouTube. Anyway, thank you for the $5. I'm gonna just say I believe in community defense. That's the only thing I'm gonna say. Maybe the cops wouldn't tear gas us so much, wouldn't beat the fuck out of us so much if we show up to protest armed and dangerous. I'm gonna stop there. I'm gonna say that. Anyway, thank you for $5, John.
There's an aisle in Home Depot. It's called the community defense aisle. You can go get all your stuff. Where that's in the community defense.
Yeah, it's in the tool section.
Yeah, you're right. Exactly.
Go ahead.
That's the 10 penny nails and the baseball bats. So you have to nail them in yourself.
Right.
So yeah, this has been a great show. That's why I want to give a shout out to everyone who leave a super chat. Very engaging, very fun show. Great way to come back after a short hiatus. Thank you for the $5, John. Dr. West needs an MMT and foreign economic advisor. Our fundamental social change will not occur. Kelton, ex-Bernie advisor, will be perfect. I don't know who Kelton is, but I'm at the point now where like anyone that was like that's still in like the Bernie like sphere, not interested in. I don't know who he is. Maybe he left that board, but if he's like, if he one of the people that's still rah Bernie, rah AOC, that guy shouldn't have anything to do with his campaign. That's just me. Thank you for
Nick, I'm gonna check out here. They're waiting for me to join them for dinner, so it's barely 8:30 and we're eating dinner a little bit late. So
yeah, for free. Yeah, we did do a long show. So no,
it's a long show today. But thanks everybody. 2 weeks we'll be back, and don't forget next week are we having? Oh, the 28th, June 28th is when we have Cornel West back on, June 28th.
Fantastic.
So make sure you tune in for that. And Kit, Keaton, and Russell, and Nick, I shall see you next time. Thank you.
Yeah,
and I'll be
Thank you, CJ.
You got it, man. Good to see you again, as always.
We almost done. Feel free to give shout outs to you guys. Show if you guys had to leave. We almost done. Thank you for the Solidarity Super Sticker, John. This is why we probably should have rested more in between the stories. But anyway, thank you for $5. Dwayne, geez, I thought Sam Cedar had a bad case of Jimmy Dore derangement syndrome.
55 times Jordan said Jimmy's name.
Jordan saw Sam Cedar and he was like, bro, hold my beer. Hold my beer. He saw Sam Cedar's debate with Breonna Joy Gray where he couldn't shut the fuck up about Jimmy Dore, and he went on Due Dissidence. He's like, bro, I'm about to raise the stakes. I'm about to raise what it means to have Jimmy Dore derangement syndrome. Man, that guy's in shambles ever since his channel has fallen off. Thank you for the $10, Rancid Bunny. Now he's like desperate because now he's doing like Trump coverage again. No, he hoping the election Trump coverage.
He's interviewing the MAGA people.
Yeah, this.
Well, I covered the Mermaid Parade. I gave him some advice, man. Yo, I've been through the South, man. A lot of those MAGA people, if you give them a T-shirt, they'll show their boobs. That'll bring the ratings right up.
There you go. Come on,
and on his show, he made on your show, he made 1,000 excuses of why people don't watch the channel no more. My head, Jordan has a channel who started out post Bernie with no election boosts or anything like that. Who generally does better than you now. If you didn't publicly lie about people that could be easily disproven, like the way you lie about RBN, the way you lie about Jimmy Dore, you wouldn't ruin your credibility to the point where people would tune out. People who watch my show know I am not bullshitting them. I could get something wrong, but when you come on, do Dissidence, and you go on your show and you lie about what we do, people that ruins your credibility, and that's why people don't watch you no more. This is just a suggestion. Don't lie and don't belittle your audience. And that's why people like the Vanguard are struggling because they lied about the dirty break with Marianne Williamson.
Their channel's falling off a cliff.
Well,
I've been in consecration for only 2 years. It's very simple. Don't lie to your audience. Don't insult their intelligence, but they can't do it. But Kid, go ahead.
No, well, like I said, people should ask about Jordan Chariton and Truth Against the Machine. That was his first channel. If people want to go in the Wayback Machine, just find out, because again, Nico House, he used to be with Truth Against the Machine, and he had a huge falling out with Jordan Chariton, and Jordan kept on smearing Nico too, putting him in a horrible spot. I mean, Jordan not only went after Jimmy, he went after Nico House. He even had at least for a time a beef against Tim Black. I mean, it's pretty shocking all the people who he went against.
And then he wrote an article about why left infighting is bad. One of the biggest left infighters.
Honestly, I honestly don't understand it. I don't understand it.
Ego and pride.
I don't get it. Like, why? What? It doesn't make any strategic sense. It doesn't make any personal sense. Like, why you want to pick these fucking fights with the people who are the natural audience for what you do? That is the audience for what you do. Like, why you want to fight with all them? Like, these, especially you want to boost your channel. That's what I was trying to say at the end, which I got through a little bit at the end there. Like, yo, man, it's a distraction from the journalism.
He's like, bro, I got that Breaking Points contract. I don't give a fuck about insulting my viewers. And meanwhile, he come up with all the conspiracy theories of why people don't view your channel no more. Oh my God, I lost income. Shut the fuck up. Maybe you shouldn't insult your audience, dude. Maybe that's your problem. Anyway, thank you, Christian. And then he was complaining. He was like, I only make $45,000 a year. Nick, 60% of Americans make $30,000 or less. Boo-hoo, motherfucker. Get the fuck out of here. Anyway, thanks for the $5, Christian. And I wish I made $45,000 a month doing a year doing this shit. You fucking
don't forget taking a break. Come on, we all need to take a break. I didn't know we could take a break, Jordan. Holy cow, that's news to me. We could take a break. Jeez. Let's go ahead and take that break.
Anyway, thanks for $5, Christian. We almost done. We literally maybe got 3 more to do. I appreciate you guys hanging in there with me. Thank you for $5, Christian. FedNow CBDC will allow feds to turn off dissidents' bank accounts just like Canada did to truckers. And as a Marxist, did the argument I make that a lot of people don't believe me, but they had to learn the hard way. The establishment is winning, guys, and they're still authoritarian. What do I mean by that? Once we really start making gains, like if we got close to Medicare for all, if we got close to dismantling the police state, if we actually had any way to dismantle the military-industrial complex, you will really see how fascist authoritarian capitalism can become. You guys see what happened in Canada with the truckers? They are just getting warmed up. They don't have to do this shit because they are winning, guys. Joe Biden is winning. Capitalism is thriving. Defense contractors are making record profits. Wall Street are making record profits. Wait to see what the capitalists do once they start losing. I don't know if it's gonna happen anytime soon. I don't know if it can happen even in my lifetime. But once they start losing, once the revolution comes, you're gonna see some real ass shit. And this is what we as Marxists predict. And a lot of people are gonna be caught off guard. But anyway, when the Canadian trucker shit happened, people was like, I can't believe this is happening in the West. Like, motherfucker, we knew this was gonna happen. This is literally what Marxist theory tells you guys is gonna happen. But anyway, a few more super chats. Thanks for $5, Henry. Dr. West needs. Oh yeah, I think we're done. I think this is no, this is another one that said the same thing. So there's the second person that suggested that Dr. West should have an MMT economic advisor. Very smart audience we have. Literally 3 more I see before I see a similar super chat. Man, definitely appreciate all the support. Thank you for the $5, Ad Kid. Salute CJ and crew for your direct aid in Skid Row. I hope, and the reason why I don't brag about a lot of stuff I do, and RBN don't brag too much, because I find it generally tacky. Maybe I should, because so people like Jordan won't lie about us. But I hope when we do these segments, when we show our work, it inspires you guys to do more. I hope it inspires you guys to get involved. I already feel like this project has been successful, this RBN project. The reason why I say that because there's been countless people that told us that through our mutual aid network that they got involved personally. And me personally, when I first started this, if I got 1 or 2 people that did that, I'm like, damn, I got someone involved. But it's been countless people that said that. So that's something I take with pride. So much love and respect to CJ, Savvy, JB, and Rome that's holding it down. I think I read this one before, and I think I read this one before. So I think I finally caught up. And so thank you guys for all the support. I'll pass it to Do Distance, and then we go Kit after that. We just start Kid and Russell. Please play your show. What's coming up next? And any final thoughts? Let's go Kid and Russell. And then
we're on Thursdays at 8, Sundays at 7. Starting in July, we're going to be on Wednesday nights at 8, Friday mornings at 9, and Sunday evenings at 7. So we're adding a third stream. We wanted to add a morning show for all our overseas viewers. According to the YouTube, about 30% of our viewers are in Europe, and they complain that we're on too late for them. So we wanted to add a morning show. It'll be probably an hour and a half. It won't be that long a show. It won't be a full 3-hour thing, but it'll be, just have something in the morning for our Euro viewers. And we would love for Nick, you and CJ to come on for our inaugural Wednesday night show. I know I messaged you about that, but July 5th, if you guys are free, we would love to have you guys help kick off our Wednesday nights. But that's all. That's it. That's what we got going on. And obviously we got Kit Cabello coming on Thursday, so we're excited about that.
Can't wait for it. First time going to be on the show. I'm looking forward to having some robust conversations, especially about science fiction, and correcting you guys on Chicago deep dish pizza, because there's many facts that you have gotten wrong, and I will.
Listen, man. Make a lasagna or make a pizza. Okay, pick a lane.
This is racism. There you go. I'm gonna throw it out there. So Heartlands Media is live in the mornings, 9 a.m. Central. On Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays. And we are live on Rumble, Rockfin, Odyssey, and YouTube, of course. We have a TV show on Can TV as well. Always happy to collaborate with RBN and do Dissidence. And look, folks, don't let the establishment lie to you. Don't let them bully you. be a free thinker, break away from the two-party system, and hashtag Team Orca. It's time for us to fuck up some votes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I am finally back. Once again, I took most of last week off. I just did Dr. Cornel West interview in the Green Party panel. Then I had to get ready for my movie. You guys see, this is my future studio. I'm trying to hook up. We got nothing, no decorations yet. Maybe I will fill this up as you guys see. So I'm back, and we're gonna have some good content coming up. So make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you guys subscribe to our comrades channel as well. No outro video because CJ is gone, but we have RBN live tomorrow. Much love and solidarity, my friends.